If you hear, go ahead.
I can't do that. I can't.
If you hear a song, you can't just whistle it. Like you can't just
No.
sing along to it. Really?
I can't.
Can you get
what's funny?
close, or is this part of why you can't do good impressions except for how a goose sounds?
So I think I had my confidence shattered when I was young. Somebody told me they thought I was partially tone deaf, and I was like,
wait, this is the goose sound. That's the goose sound. This is your blowjob sound.
Gawk.
How would I get those goose? See, they're different. Sorry. Okay.
I was at tonsils all the time.
Okay, I'm done. Somebody told you you're partially tone deaf? Who would fucking say that? Who would say that?
So I was at a thing, and one of the people there was a professional singer, or semi-professional. Like he sang in plays and stuff in college.
Okay.
And so there was a big grand piano where we happened to be. So we started playing music, like we did Memories and a couple different, and we would sing along with it. So this guy who was professional was singing, and then I was singing too. And he was like, "No, your tone, you need to be higher." Like, "Oh no, your tone's off." And I was like, "God damn it!" I was like fucking 13 years old or 14 years old when this happened.
That's a bad age to.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I'm scarred ever since. I don't trust my sense of tone, I guess.
I'm convinced that I could dance if I wasn't like hitting puberty in the 90s, where it was like the beginnings of like, hey, we can all say this, white people don't have rhythm. And I was like, I guess I don't have rhythm.
I guess I can't
but
dance.
Like, I played instruments, like, I just it's a confidence.
You can clap on the correct beat.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. Unless I think about it. Once I'm thinking about it, I can't.
You can't think about it. Just let it.
Yeah.
Let your brain do it.
Exactly,
sir.
Exactly. Nobody's listening to this, anyways.
Exactly, sir.
There we go. Is that up too loud? That seemed loud, but that might just be how it is. It's always been that way. Do you want to since we're here, should we do a show?
We should do a show.
Okay, well, let's do our secret track stuff.
Okay.
This is Nebraska hot dog saved this man's life. Gas station hot dog saved this Nebraskan's life.
Your house up.
I didn't. How do I do that? Okay. Now it's really happening.
It's happening.
Sadly, tragically, completely destroyed. Where were you today when the storm rolled through?
So his house was destroyed by a tornado. Those tornado videos in Nebraska,
I know.
Last Friday.
We actually have a headline about it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, geez, man. I mean, they look unreal. Like if they made the tornado look like that in Twister, you'd be like, it's Hollywood, man. You can have a cow flying by, but like, yeah, that thing was just. I mean,
did you see there was a dog that like
a mile wide if it was an inch, Allan?
Dude, thing was huge.
What about a dog?
There's a dog that got flown like a couple of blocks and lived through it.
I was gonna say, if you John Wick this podcast, I swear to God,
he's okay.
I have a button for that.
I got to talk about.
This is where this guy was during the tornado.
I was at the gas station getting hot dogs, and it saved my life. So hot dogs saved my life.
Imagine being in your house. This is such a Nebraskan thing to do, I imagine. You're in your house where presumably all your food is.
Right.
I mean, he has a house.
He has a house. Had a house.
Good point. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? I need to go down to the gas station to get a hot dog, or I can't eat. You know what? I say that, and like the second Natasha's out of town, I'm like, I don't know, Cheetos and and cheese sound pretty good for dinner.
Not only that, it's in the middle of a storm, and he's like,
the tornadoes didn't come out of nowhere, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that may be the only time in history a gas station hot dog has ever been healthy.
I know, right? Yeah, no shit.
God, those things can be gnarly, man.
Hey,
Hey, I've indulged. I'm not.
I think some of the worst food poisoning I ever had. I got rolled tacos at a 7-Eleven in the gas lamp down in San Diego, and it was at like 2 a.m. And when I went to pay, shocker, I was drunk. When I went to pay, based on the diet alone, you could tell it was drunk. When I went to pay, I grabbed the box lid wrong, and it opened up, and the tacos spilled all over the counter and rolled across the counter. And I just scooped them back in there and went and ate them in the Uber on the way home.
God.
And I woke up either with a hangover or food poisoning.
Yeah, probably food poisoning.
Why not Zoidberg?
You gotta have a 7-Eleven guy. That's what I figured out.
What does that mean? The guy that if you get there at the right time, he'll hook you up with a bag.
Well, you go to the same 7-Eleven constantly, like pretty regularly. Eventually, you get to know their names. They say, "Hey, what's up?" You walk in, you go to grab a hot dog. They're like,
you don't want that
one.
Yeah,
get the one in the back here. It's better.
Yeah. Those have been there. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, what I thought you were talking about, which is totally a thing. I don't know if it's ever happened to you. If you show up at a 7-Eleven at the right time of day, and you have a 7-Eleven guy, you'll get a whole bag of just expired roller heated food for like $20, like, or maybe $10.
Yeah,
food isn't very expensive to start with.
Risky.
Yeah. It's not like you got sneezed on.
There's enough chemicals in that shit, probably. It's
like you rolled it around on a counter first. I was trying to find my clip of Dennis Prager where it was Penis Prager, where they replaced Dennis with Penis.
Oh yeah,
using Dennis Prager's voice. So I guess we'll have to just have the listeners understand that this is Penis Prager. Well, this is the secret track, so everybody can see this. So that's Dennis Prager, who's lived in his own Dennis Prager bubble for, easily the last 10 years. He has his own like university, one of those it's an online scam university, but he also sold it to Ron DeSantis's Florida. So it's like it's a weird cross section of like legality and whether it's very official or not. But he's kind of, in terms of being a right-wing personality, he's sort of within his own bubble.
Yeah, he's created his own ecosystem, essentially.
Yeah, and like nobody gets close to him about it till he debates Dave Smith, and Dave Smith tears him apart. It's like, why would you debate a professional comedian that's that sharp? Like, he started the debate with I see no difference between Hamas's actions on October 7th and than the Nazis in Germany.
Prager did?
Yeah. And Dave's like, you see no differences? Like none, zero, like not one other. Like if you want to start with the threshold of getting to one, I could do that if that's all we need, but like none, zero, like
zero. Yeah.
Like it'd be one thing to be like, there's a lot of similarities. You could be like, you gave yourself enough area to
maneuver
on the edge. Yeah.
Edge.
Anyway, do you want to hear a Penis Prager video?
I do.
Okay, let me unmute it.
There's no secular argument against adult incest.
This is like those memes in the 2010s that were like, nobody, not anybody. And then Dennis Prager is like, nobody says there's no secular law. You got to have the Bible to know not to fuck your cousin.
Totally.
If it weren't for there's no secular reason for it, Alan.
Brother and sister want to make love. What's your argument? That they're going to produce mentally retarded offspring?
Ooh,
nonsense. Takes many generations of inbreeding to do that. There is no
most gay people are retarded.
Secular argument against adult consensual incest. There's a religious argument. Sex cannot enter family life.
Thank God
we have taboo.
It's a big taboo.
People think that we could live without the greatest source of wisdom and morality in the history of the world, the Bible. That's what they think. Even some secular conservatives think that. They don't realize they're living on the fumes of the Judeo-Christian value system.
So you're telling me you fucked your sister?
But if you ultimately...
not him, maybe my dad, his dad's sister, not his.
Extract those flowers from the soil that nurtured them. I
think we're probably good, right? Do you think he's going to have any more gems in there? I don't know. I don't want to stop it early and find out he had something else.
Flowers will wither and die.
High thoughts.
I don't want to see that happen, so I'm working so hard on this commentary.
Hard on. Let's see, we got there for the hard on part.
Come.
Guess what? Too many screens. There we go. It's all worth it.
How many have had the Holy Ghost come in you?
You know what? I got to find that cum clip. I forgot. I got a cum clip for you. We'll play it soon. So, some people ask me, like, is it really worth signing up for the Patreon to see the secret track? I'm like, well, there's some clips there that we don't play on the big show.
There's many clips there.
I don't think we have to describe what Rickrolling is. This is Rick from Rick Astley from Rickroll fame. This is his own secret track. This is later on in that song. I didn't know this.
God. Yeah, that's definitely got to stay in the secret track.
It's so stupid.
It's so stupid. Oh my god.
I gotta find this video, but I get distracted by the videos that we're already doing. Okay. So have you noticed there's been a rise in like people talking about autism more, and not just in the sense that like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a bunch of moms talking about how their kids have autism, and Jenny McCarthy saying her kid has autism, and then the kid grows up and he was just like slow at learning how to read. He's like, thanks for telling the world I have autism, Mom. Like, never forget that. Never forget that. Like, if you're me and Alan's age and you think of Jenny McCarthy and you stop getting horny, you go, didn't she have an autistic kid? No, she didn't. She thought she did. And she told everybody. And then he turned out to not be autistic and probably didn't appreciate that. Like,
probably not. Yeah.
I think Jim Carrey had something to do. Remember, she was married to Jim Carrey at the time.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't think he appreciated that. That was sometime after that they got divorced. That's not the point, anyways. So everybody is autistic, which honestly kind of checks out, right? So this guy's video is basically like, I'm tired of everybody saying they have autism. He sounds like me, like 15 years ago when all of a sudden everybody had ADD. It's like, listen here, motherfucker. Did you go to a therapist at 7? Did you get pulled out of your classroom with people with other learning disabilities? Like, I'm not going to hear it from you. If you're like, it turns out I can't study or take notes. It's like, yeah, this isn't a natural environment for any of us. It was a fucking debilitating problem. Okay. Like, I'm not going to listen to you that made it into college without any chemical assistance telling me you think you actually are ADHD because you just can't take notes. It's like, no, this is hard. We grew up with screens. Sorry, Alan, what?
No, I also said that, you were prescribed meth legally. So there's that.
Legal meth. It ruined cocaine for me. I've said that 1,000 times. Remember on the show yesterday when Trump was like, I say this all the time. It's like, do you really say that all the time? That's me with this. I'm always saying it ruined cocaine for me.
Ruined cocaine.
It did.
All those receptors got taken out.
I was always worried.
Tragic.
Like, you hear about how bad drugs are, and then you're in your 30s, and you're like, well, maybe never telling the truth. It's not like it's crack. It's just cocaine. People were like, look, man, you bounce off the walls already anyways. I can't deal with you on this. You should probably pass. And then you do. And then you're in your mid 30s and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then you do it. And you're like, this is like I had 2 Adderalls.
This shit's weak, man.
Yeah. And like I have a weird drip in my throat. Other than that, like, this is kind of disappointing. I mean, I feel like everything I'm saying is interesting, but like, that's kind of Adderall. That's very Adderall.
Right.
Anyway, this guy's talking about how everybody's got the tism these days.
When did autism become a quirky personality trait? Everybody has fucking autism now? Everyone's a little bit on the spectrum? I'm seeing words like acoustic and neurospicy and got a touch of the tism. These are terms that the actual neurodivergent community developed to reclaim power. And as a society, we've all kind of gained a larger understanding of autism, which is great. The problem is boring people on the internet trying to spice up their gray personality by acting like they have a splash of autism. You don't have a splash of the tism just because you like video games. You're not on the spectrum because you hyperfixate on being organized. Like a few years ago, it was depression, then it was anxiety. Now everybody's autistic. And please use your fucking brain. I'm not talking about people that actually have these disorders. Motherfuckers are on the internet collecting neurological disorders like Pokemon cards. Yeah, I can actually name all 151 original Pokemon. Those are just my...
He's like, I can name the Pokemon, but like, it's not the point here.
Don't appropriate my culture, man.
I thought about you when he said that part. It was like, shit, that's Alan's line.
That is my line. That's funny.
Autistic superpowers, I guess. No, dude, you're just a fucking regular nerd like me that grew up on Pokemon. I'm so happy to see that autism is getting the awareness that it deserves, but holy fucking shit, I'm going to ram my head through a wall. If I have to get on TikTok one more time, my closet is organized by color. I'm so quirky and interesting. Will somebody date me? My tism riz. Put a loaded gun into my mouth. Okay.
Okay. All right. A little too far there.
You need to relax.
You need to relax, bud.
I used to organize my closet by color for a while. That wasn't.
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. I
Everybody's
don't
done
think
that.
you ever thought, you
No.
were special in that way.
No.
I mean, but then there's there's OCD as a thing too, right? Like
Sure.
we used to say that, oh, I'm OCD. And I had a friend who had like crippling OCD. She was like, no. You don't like organize your pantry. Like I organize my cans by size and the labels facing out. Like you just
Oh yeah, and like I had a friend who would like want to check the like the stove was turned off like multiple times before she left the house.
Yeah.
Or like that she locked the door or something like that. Like she'd have to check every window to see if they were shut before she went to bed, like stuff like that. That's not like, it's not just organizing your room.
Dude, do you remember BDK?
Yeah.
I mean, what was describe BDK's problem?
From the Don and Mike show, right? Or
from WJFK.
WJFK, yeah. Man, I remember the personality. I don't remember his
he would drive back and forth on his way home. He'd like go off on his lunch break to go pick up food, and he'd convince himself that he ran someone over in an intersection, and he'd just keep doing like U-turns.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't eat on my lunch today, and they were like, why? Because you were doing fucking donuts.
He was like the movie reviewer, right?
Yeah, yes, high functioning. Yeah.
Wow, I don't remember that part about him. No.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Well, that's also OCD, Chad Dukes' version of him. So I mean,
right, sure.
What makes the air?
Yeah, no, severe OCD.
Sister didn't really care for the way that I talked about her last week, and I was like, "Oh, it's a show. We're just doing a show."
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
What were you going to say?
Rehash that. No, I was just going to say, I mean, OCD at that level is a whole different thing than just being organized.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I found the cum clip that I've been looking for.
Let's go.
The only thing that sucks about this is we can't call the show 6 minutes of cum.
We start naming the secret tracks.
That's true.
In terms of how it started and the way that we say it, shouldn't it be spelled with a U? It would really make perfect sense if it were.
So this is Lexicon Valley, a great podcast, to use their tagline, a podcast about language. The following podcast contains language. I love that. It's such a great intro. So witty,
You've talked about that podcast a lot.
You do not listen to Lexicon Valley?
I definitely will.
Oh, you should.
I know you brought it up many times.
Yeah. The guy's so smart.
I always forget. Yeah.
And John McWhorter or Josh McWhorter, he's an outspoken person on the New York Times staff who is like, I think by anyone's definition, a liberal, yet he's like, hey, words have meaning. And if you guys are saying this, I kind of have an issue with that, but like it hasn't made him persona non grata as far as I'm aware, but it's in ways where if he wasn't, if he didn't sound like this and worked for the New York Times, I think it'd be, and speaking of the way he sounds, straight male.
Oh, all right.
C-U-M or C-U-M-E maybe, because the spelling system would still be screwed up. But why an O? Why is that there? Way back.
Sounds a little gay, right?
A little bit.
He's into show tunes. Every show includes a break just to play some show tunes.
Okay. There's another
early English writing. It was harder to decipher.
Did I tell you? Have I said what this is about?
No.
Oh, this is about the word "come." Guess what?
Oh, there were these kind of chicken scratches. They looked like lowercase i's without dots. And that was the way you wrote some letters. And so, for example, M was just 3 of those scratches, not connected. So that was an M.
That's why it doesn't have an
N was right. But then a U was, and you just had to know that the ligature was supposed to be on the bottom.
Ligature.
That was confusing in many ways. And so, for example, is it an N or is it a U? Well, in some common words or words that were then common, what they started doing was using an O instead of the because it was ambiguous with an N. And so what that meant was that coom was spelled now comb, just to make it clear what word was meant. It's not that anybody ever said comb. It was just this business. That's also why some is spelled wrong. Why isn't it SUM? That's also why.
It was always come, Alan.
It was always
It was always come. They just changed it to OME.
It was always CUM, but it was just confusing.
Worm and tongue and also monk are spelled.
Because it'd be like snum.
Spelling so bad. And there are about 18 reasons. And this business of the O replacing the ambiguous is one of them. It's those minims. Also, the bat and acrobat and come is spelled wrong for a rather sad, sloppy reason. And then
Sloppy.
what about words from become? So become, it was natural to think, okay, it must be about coming. It must be about wanting someone to come to you. And so people started pronouncing it comely, or the older way people pronounce comely.
I don't have time to isolate all of these. James, if you happen to, please.
And that is why it's comely. Comely is this adorable accident, a delicate and then attractive accident. It really isn't supposed to be about the verb to come at all. The verb come is always interesting. There's so much behind it. It can never be normal. It always kind of has to stick out. And so, for example, if those changes had gone the way they're supposed to go, then the past tense of come would not be came. That doesn't make any sense in terms of how past tenses usually work in English. Yes, you have that business of only the vowel changing, but that's not what it's supposed to be if the verb is of the particular group that come is from. It should be cum. It should be, when I come to the party, I will have some potato salad. That's one. Or yesterday, I cum to the party without potato salad. Cum, what it's supposed to be.
Cum.
Came is something that happened by accident because the Vikings invaded England and they stayed and they married and they left our language with thousands of words such as get and happy and knife and so very, very many others. And they also left a whole lot of more nitty gritty sorts of things, such as their past tense of their to come verb was something like came. And they passed that into English. And I'm imagining that probably came felt clearer. So come, came, instead of what would have been come, cum, a little too similar. And so next thing you know, we have this foreign, it's like the cuckoo bird who is in the nest and it eats the other bird's food, or does it eat the other birds? Whatever it does, it came as a cuckoo. That's very much. So that's how you can use
it goes all over.
Do that
like I just dropped the needle throughout. So we're about halfway through. You need a breather?
I think if you put all those words on a teleprompter in front of me, I don't think I could read them like with a straight face.
No.
There's no way.
Yeah. It's professional.
Yeah. The verb to play, you wouldn't do that with the verb to drink. Yesterday, that with the verb to drink. Yesterday, he drank a soda. No, but you can do that with come. Come is always an interesting piece of work. And there's even more. So the end of days is come. Or in Jane Austen, here we are in the first half of the 1800s, and you have things like Mr. Bingley is come. He is indeed come, has he not? I'm making up that line a little bit, but if you've read things of that era, somebody is gone and is come. That is come along, as in get beyond where we are, but you certainly don't think of that now. You just know, you say, oh, come on, but you're not really thinking about coming anywhere. Thing like that. Or the old comes the revolution. Then everything will be completely different.
The old expression.
Comes the revolution. It's this archaic way of putting it. It's the way you would put it in Old English and optionally in Middle English. But in modern.
Wow.
Sorry. I paused it by accident. There's a minute and a half. Play.
In English, we don't say comes the revolution, except that we can, in formulaic language, just with little old come. Come tends to hold on to things that get left behind.
Come on, wait,
elsewhere,
Alan,
like
hold on.
He is come being one of the last.
Hold on, you gotta be quiet, okay? Be quiet for this one.
Okay.
And so people started pronouncing it comely, or the older way people pronounce.
Oh, it went to the beginning.
And that, and optionally in Middle English, but in modern English, we don't say comes the revolution, except that we can, in formulaic language, just with little old come. Come tends to hold on to things that get left behind elsewhere, just like he is come being one of the last bastions of the be verbs with the past. But yeah, come, you haven't heard it?
Tend to get left behind.
You don't know that expression. If you don't,
you forget
to show you that it exists. This is
it's like afterwards you're in a different headspace. You're like, oh, I didn't know it was there.
Yeah, you know what this is going to be. This is Broadway, 1933. This is the Gershwin Brothers. This is actually their best musical, and unfortunately, George passed away not too long after this and didn't write any more of them. But this is from Let 'Em Eat Cake, and one of the bigger songs from it was called "Comes the Revolution," sung by a very meek vice president. This is Jack Guilford near the end of his life, which is why he's sounding kind of wavery. But I actually saw this production, this revival back in the 80s.
I might not have known I recorded this much. I'm just hoping there's
doing
cum
this
in
old
the
man
song.
walk on purpose, and everybody, he was a grand old Broadway star. Anyway, Comes the Revolution, sung by the great Jack Guilford in 1987.
Okay.
Core.
Happy days will soon be here. The butcher and the baker, undertaker too.
All right.
Thank the Lord and Maker for the.
And we're in a little realm here.
Okay, no,
this realm of core motion verbs. And you know, the one that is directly opposite here is lovely little go. Of course, the next episode will explore go, which is interesting in the same way as the word come, often in very parallel ways.
So I don't sign up for their Apple Plus version of the podcast.
Okay.
But apparently on that, according to Ben Wonders, by the way, thank you, Ben. According to Ben, that the like secret track version of it, their Patreon only or Substack only is about the other cum. The
to create calm.
That's just calm.
That one.
Spicy.
Well, I don't know if it's spicy. It depends what you've been eating.
Oh,
pineapple. Speaking of which, let's give them their money's worth. Let's put more shit in here. You don't care, right?
Hell yeah. No, I'm good. Let's do it.
You see, I think this will be old by the time we record next week. I don't know. Maybe it didn't really catch the media. I don't care. Let's burn it here. So, oh my God, the Wednesday show might actually be shorter. Here is George Santos is back on Cameo.
Oh.
Is it still sharing or did I?
No, it's not sharing.
Oh, okay. George Santos is on Cameo, and I guess his numbers were dropping, so he brought back an old character, Katara.
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Katara.
Hey, Club Condo.
That's what Katara sounds like.
It's your favorite, Katara.
Do you remember this? Do you remember when he was a Brazilian drag queen?
I do now. I do. Yes. There's been
he's
so
claiming that that's a character of his from 18 years ago. Maybe he's older than I thought, which, great job with his skincare.
After 18 years in the closet, George Santos pulled me back out. Whatever. Anyway, I hear you're a bunch of little freaks out there and you love to dance all night long.
Do you think he did his own makeup?
I would imagine he did.
He did a really good job.
It's not bad.
Like it's no
better than I would, right? Like how good would yours look? I mean, that seems really difficult to pull off.
Yeah.
Nobody's business. You know what? You gotta elevate it. Gotta make it more risque. You gotta make it more fun. Where's the zhush? I have an advice for you. How about put some wigs on, get some boas, and go have real fun.
Boas.
Let's see who whips your hair faster, side to side, whatever. But y'all gotta stop being boring.
I keep thinking in my...
No, we're not playing that one yet. That is the next clip. Okay. Wow, there's a nice little montage. I don't have to open the next clip. All right.
Is there a guy that needs attention more than George Santos?
No. Yeah, the only thing he likes more is money.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, I'm falling out of the zeitgeist. Let me do something else crazy to get back.
Don't you remember when he was bragging the weeks after where he got kicked out? He's like, well, I'm getting more money. It's like that guy that gets fired for justifiable reasons, but he comes back because he lives in the neighborhood.
Yeah. He shows up at the State of the Union.
No, like at work though, right?
I know.
Oh, right, he did. Yes, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, yes. And they come back in. They're like, oh yeah, I got another job. Everything's better for me now. Like it's not worse after being fired. So I know you're all my friends, but
right.
I need you to know that. Anyway, here's a second. The next clip I was going to play anyways happens to be a follow-up video on that. This will also be old come next Tuesday when we record again. This will forever live in our soundboard. Tell me you saw Drew Barrymore talking to Kamala.
I think I did.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
If I say Mamala.
Oh, yes. I
had
I did see
that we all need a mom. I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug.
I love this moment where Kamala sees what's happening and she's like, oh, dear God.
Yeah.
Like
she's being so earnest.
No, wait, who is Drew?
Drew, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Drew Barrymore.
And Kamala knows
Kamala's like, don't fucking go there.
Yeah.
God damn it. Like, I'll be polite. Doing that nod like, hey, wrap it up early.
Right.
Wrap it. Don't like just trying to gesture you into like getting all your words out really quick. Don't say what you're saying. Like,
yes.
But no, Drew Barrymore, like a lifelong drug addict, is sitting there staring at her like
in the world right now. Yeah. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
That's what Kamala was afraid of. She's like, don't fucking say Mamala.
Actually, can you just isolate that Kamala does?
Oh, yeah. Did she already say it?
Yeah. Right before.
Yeah.
Hey, Club Condo.
Hey, Club Condo. I'm gonna keep that playing and see if I can catch back up to that.
Yeah. It's right when she's like almost done asking the question.
Yeah. No, I remember hearing it. I mean, something tells me we'll have it on the Friday show too, or the Wednesday show too. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not play it again? Mamala. She's not even like the mom, right? Like
I know. Is that just like that's like dad joke mentality, but worse? I don't know what
to say Mamala.
Yeah,
like saying it. Yeah, but she's being sincere, dude.
I know. That's the weird part about it.
Like, who has ever looked at? Do you think her children look at her and think like, "Mama"? Does she even have kids?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Can't not have kids as a politician, right?
I think she does.
I don't think they've ever called her Mamala.
I'm sure they haven't.
She's got drug man. She's got like wine ant energy, right?
Oh, for sure. Yes.
But not mama energy.
Not Mamala. No.
That we all need a mom. I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now. Yeah. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
I don't think it's clean. I think Drew's talking over it.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Tough. That is so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need a hug right now.
Yeah. We need a Mamala. I mean, that's like as bad as people are like, Trump's in office. We got a daddy. Like, oh God. Well, speaking of people like that, I guess. I don't know. Speaking of something, here's Marjorie. I always it still says Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's funny. Washington Journal is doing that out of spite because it's Marjorie Taylor, right?
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor.
That's hilarious. So Marjorie Taylor has moved on in her career into just setting up like pop-up videos with like government building backdrops behind her. Like, this doesn't have to be where it is. She just goes in like, I mean, think about this. There's a microphone array. There's a podium. There's going to be props in this. All of that is coordinated and organized, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is such a fucking stunt. And it is so lame. Like, I'm sorry. I can't be more eloquent than that. Like, that is so lame.
It is pretty lame. We're gonna have more MTG in the headlines as well.
Okay, this one. Do you have something about voting? Because this is not that.
No, this is I have something about the anti-Semitism bill.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
that's what this is. The Uniparty is make Ukraine great again. The Uniparty is all about funding every single foreign war.
I forget. Did I call it a monoparty or a uniparty?
I think you called it a monoparty, but I'm not positive on that. So I actually do have a headline about the impeachment of Big Mike as well. So
okay, good. Yep. So she made these hats that say "Make Ukraine Great Again."
Mm-hmm. I see.
We don't have to listen to her more.
I don't think so.
That's what she lives for.
Muga,
yeah. But if it's at first we called it MAGA and we found out it was MAGA. So is it Muga or MAGA?
MAGA.
Ukraine. Muga. Ukraine. Because it's MAGA because it's America.
Oh,
so
I see.
Ukraine, so it's Muga.
Muga.
Ukraine. Muga. Yeah, there's like a Y at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Get John McWhorter on it. He'll get into that. From that word podcast.
Yes.
I don't think this will. I don't know. This feels a little long. I'll move some of these into the big show, I guess. Yeah, so that the big show won't be too long. Do you have anything following? Well, we'll probably talk about it in the big show, but here's a sound. Here's some dressing for when we talk about it later. The Columbia protests being broken up. Here's Tracy Morgan. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is Eric Adams. It sounds like Tracy Morgan talking about it, just being a cop.
And it's despicable that schools will allow another country flag to fly in our country. So blame me for being proud to be an American. And I thank Commissioner Daughtry for putting that flag back up. We're not surrendering our way of life to anyone.
I don't hate it.
You know what? I had a conversation with Thrash about that earlier today or yesterday. Man, I kind of agree, man. Like you're
Like
gonna
you've
take
lost
down
the plot if that's what you're doing.
right. You take down the US flag and put up the Palestinian flag.
Like you might as well just tell me. Like there's easier ways to say that you've just lost the point of what you're doing. You're just
and the
I get it. I remember being that age and just fucking
Sure.
I want to take that on anything. Like
Right.
yeah.
Sure, I get that too. But I mean, you have to realize that the U.S. flag is the reason you have the ability and right
to do
have,
that. Yeah,
yes,
exactly. That's a great
it's
point.
just bass backwards.
Yep. And I hate that we spend that much time talking about that so critically instead of the things that we're mad at Israel for doing, right? Like, like we could be talking about the common ground with these people who are behaving so unreasonably. Button press conference turn speech. What does that even mean? How is that a note?
Benjamin Button. I don't know.
Mr. President,
I think Button is Biden. Oh, Biden had a press conference. It turned into a speech. This will be old by our next show. So let's play it here. I don't think it's in your headlines.
forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the
Let me start it over because the question is, have these protests forced you to reconsider anything?
Okay.
So all of that shit. Hey, maybe it was worthwhile though. Somebody's asking the president. We'll find out.
Mr. President, have the protests forced you to reconsider any of the policies with regard to the region?
No.
Da 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 da.
Jeez.
Sunglasses in the drop.
Not even you know, we're considering all options on the table. Just
no. Please vote for me though. That is a no that says I know you're not voting for Trump. I fucking dare you.
Mr. President, do you think the National Guard should intervene?
No.
That's good.
Mr. President,
So hey, this is a good example. I hate to have two shows in a row where I'm like, hey, let's look at all the good things Joe Biden's done. This is Joe speaking lucidly. He keeps doing things that undermine the Sleepy Joe moniker.
Yeah.
He's walking away.
So let me be clear. Peaceful protest in America. Violent protest is not protected. Peaceful protest is. It's against the law when violence occurs. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest.
I need to correct myself. I didn't. This is back in the speech before the press conference, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's against the law. Vandalism.
This is what we've been saying, right? Like it's kind of interesting how this is all shook out, where it's like, God, I really am sympathetic to the type of people who are protesting and the cause of their protest. Maybe I didn't mean to start with the type of people, because that seems to be where we start to part ways, right? And like being critical of the methods that have been used or the way that their cause has been hijacked, which we talk about all the time as a thing. To take any wind out of your sail. You might have been about to say that, but man, we just doing a whole show up here.
Trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Dissent is essential to democracy, but dissent must never lead to disorder or to denying the rights of others so students can finish the semester and their college education. Look, it's basically a matter of fairness. It's a matter of what's right. There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos. People have the right to get an education, the right to get a degree, the right to walk across the campus safely without fear of being attacked. But let's be clear about this as well. There should be no place on any campus, no place in America for anti-Semitism or threats of violence against Jewish students.
And he gets other races as well. It says Islam students, blacks. I don't know.
I mean, we have
people.
We have a story about it in other news from the Atlantic.
So sorry.
No, not about that specifically, but about what I was going to say, which is you look at protests in the past, like the Democratic Convention in '68 in Chicago with the Chicago 7, right? And the way that they behaved, they were brash. Yeah, they were energetic. Yeah, they had a cause and they were passionate about it. But the violence didn't start with them. And that's the way a protest is supposed to work.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of the comparisons are not accurate to
I agree.
that. To 68, right? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Even just the fact that, I don't know, is the style of president and campaign or administration leaving, I feel like going 8 years of a Democrat is the same as it being one administration, although Kennedy dying and LBJ taking over, an unpopular war.
Right.
Does LBJ continuing the second term, does LBJ being his own thing make it more comparable to Biden?
I would have to think about that in
unpopular
historical
wars is
context.
kind of a I don't know. In a sense, I mean, we'll see what come the convention. Hey, where's the convention at? Where was the convention in '68?
I was going to talk about that later. But yeah, Chicago.
Okay.
Ironically, and it's in Chicago.
Save it.
Well, no, it's fine.
All the plebs that don't subscribe can get that joke later, but
Yeah.
the cool kids will get this.
They'll know already. Yes.
Yeah. Wink, wink. Okay, when you hear Alan say that, that was original, and we almost never do this, but that one's from saved. Hold on to that one. Should I do a comedy clip and then okay, let's do a comedy clip. This is related to Israel and all that stuff. It's not a good joke, but where he goes with it turns out to be pretty funny. And the reason I say it's not a good joke is it's a joke I've thought of. And I'm like, well, I'm not a professional comedian. I don't know how to make that. It was an old Family Guy joke where they're like, free to bet. And then the cutaway is, hello, China. I think I have something you want. That's right. All the tea. And like, I got that confused because I didn't know if he meant Tibet or he wants all the tea in China, but I'll give you Tibet. That's the joke, right? Well, similar joke here, which I've thought of. Maybe he's made it better. The reason he's made it better is because he goes to a lot more funny punchline tags on it.
And I just started responding to all the free Palestine. I just started responding, sure. I'll take one, you know?
Taylor Swift. Okay.
Yeah.
This is where it starts being funny.
I had done this joke before, and a Palestinian comic came up to me after the show, and he's like, "You stole my joke." Okay, it's gonna get a little complicated, all right? Now, I have recorded evidence that I had done the joke way before the Palestinian guy did the joke. But for different reasons, I couldn't come back to the joke. And this wasn't even my joke. This was a joke that was passed down from generation to generation. And every time the Palestinian guy delivered the joke, he did not deliver it well. I mean, he bombed. He bombed the joke. When I delivered it, I killed, but it was justified. I tried offering him some of the joke in 2005, and no one's talking about that. So.
Okay, all right.
That's pretty good.
It is pretty good, but we're not supposed to laugh at that, Alan. Can we do our normal thing where I ask you a question? Sure. Let's pretend, just like on the CDs that had the secret track you had to rewind to. Let's act like nothing happened. Yep. Hey, can I ask you a question like we always do when we normally start the show cold with a cold open question? Of
course. What you got?
Question. Well, I got two questions for you. I think for a while I've been trying to figure out what to name my saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
I think the better question is, what should my band name? You know, like Billy Strings. I don't think his last name is Strings.
I don't think it is either.
What if I called my what, Alan? What?
There's no way his last name's Strings.
This is almost like we haven't had 44 minutes of warm up. How are you stepping on me? Because I interrupt too much, but that is the answer. But can I tell you? Can I tell you my suggestion for my own name?
Your band name, yes.
Dusty Sax.
I like it.
Like it? All right.
I like it.
Okay,
I have some thoughts on the logo.
Well, you know what? Send them in to Alan Smith at None Taken Pod. Wait,
it's just Alan.
Alan at nonetakenpod.com. Send them on in, and also send in your game ideas, because until then it's going to be trivia that Thrash sends in, which I'm completely open with continuing. But yeah, Allan at nonetakenpod.com for your artwork for Dusty Sax, the band.
Yeah, or anything else.
Well, that's not to give it too broad, because then people forget why they're messaging you with saxophone ideas.
Right.
Yeah, and
clear
game
messaging.
Yes. Dude, I don't know if I slept on it wrong, but I can just today. So starting 2 days ago, so you know how you can go like this, you make your ear touch your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can do that right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go into my left.
Ooh.
I can go. Oh, I can go. Okay, it starts to hurt. I don't know if I slept on it wrong or what.
Were you in a weird position at work, like working on something?
Always, always. Well,
That's what happens when you start to get older, man. You wake up and you're just like, oh shit,
dude,
it's fucked up in my neck.
Pretty much what happened. Yeah. And then okay, I'm glad to hear that, because your mind goes like, well, maybe it's neck cancer, and there's some kind of a tumor that's pushing up against the.
Only thing pushing is 40.
Yeah. Well, all right. Thanks. Well, for that, though. Well, I saw a helpful. It's not a TikTok video. I saw a helpful Instagram video that has his own suggestion on how I can make it better. And I think you're a fan of this, from what I remember. It's from a Ring doorbell. A lady's talking to the UPS driver. Apparently, they know each other. Wonder what else is going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Thickens.
Is it just audio or is there video?
Oh, can you not hear it?
I can hear it, but I can't see it.
How could you hear it?
I don't know.
Wait, you could hear it?
She said, "How are you?"
How long has this been happening?
I don't know. It didn't happen before.
Huh.
Yeah, I could hear it, but I couldn't see it.
Well, let me make a timestamp note so I clean this part up. 46:30-ish. Allan can hear. That's good enough. I don't know what my notes mean later. Oh, can I play the?
Yeah.
Should I just start it over? I'll start it over. Ready to do a show, man.
Hell yeah.
Try that Chinese thing with needles. What's it called? Acupuncture? Heroin. Oh, goodness. Y'all let me in this damn house.
Should we hit record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. Well, you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No, that's taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken.
Ask your mama, she'll say the same thing. I got all the ways I just ain't got the means. Boom.
To the Friday Headlines Roundup edition of No Taken, where every week my good friend Allan wrangles up the headlines from all over the corners of the interwebs. We talk them at you. Because I listen to 13 hours of podcasts a day, and Allan watches 3 hours of cable news. Yuck. So you don't have to. And now, get ready for us to take a sledgehammer to the culture war echo chambers. But first, as is tradition, it's Friday.
So, another Friday is upon us. What'll you be doing, Smithers? Something gay, no doubt.
What?
What? You know, lighthearted, fancy-free. Mothers, lock up your daughters. Smithers is on the town.
Exactly, sir.
Exactly, sir. Man, every week I'm like, what does he mean? That is so outrageous. How could you get away with that on a podcast these days?
Exactly.
How are you, man?
I'm great, man.
I didn't introduce the show as is tradition. Head on over to nonetakenpod.com. That's where you can shop for all the fine merchandise that we have and wares to offer. Everything from hats to mugs to glasses, not shot glasses. How dare you? What are we, children?
To hoodies,
to t-shirts. We got shirts that say Culture Warrior within the Vietnam War veteran logo, which I have cleared with my army buddies. Not my army buddies. I was not. Man, I'm making it worse the way I'm describing it. My friends who have
my friend.
Look, you guys all like Cody. He likes it. Okay. So head on over to nonetakenpod.com. You can find access to things like our merchandise with the Culture Warrior veteran shirt. Look, you're here. You're a Culture War veteran. Let people know it. Wear it proudly. Send us a picture with you wearing it, by the way. We get featured on the show page. There's other cool things there, and Allan will tell you about them.
We got our Patreon button over there. You can head over to the Patreon, get exclusive access to like full unedited videos, full length episodes of the show. We got bonus episodes every episode now, exclusive content. We got the Mike Burns interview is up over there.
Mike Burns.
And if you join at the baller level, we'll send you one of those Culture Warrior t-shirts.
This guy fucks level. No.
Yep.
Culture Warrior levels.
Culture Warrior level.
Thank you, Allan. That was a whole thing that we did. Yes.
Yeah.
If you join as a Culture Warrior level, you get a complimentary Culture Warrior shirt. Look, you can be a sleazebag. Join for 1 month. Let me know. You got to DM me or I won't know to send it to you. And I'll send it to you. And then leave the next month. That's fine. You're the one.
You know what?
They're advertising. That's cool.
That's right. We're good with it.
That's right.
So yeah, absolutely. Head over there to nonetakenpod.com. All our stuff is there. All the links, as well as links to subscribe to the show. If you haven't already done that, please like and subscribe. And also, don't forget to support the people that support us.
Cool.
SlickIt'sDigital.com.
That's
for all
right.
your SEO and marketing needs.
Hell yeah.
SlickIt'sDigital.com. Hell yeah. What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome
Grab
to
a
the show.
glass of wine.
The weekend is here. Have a can of beer. Let's go. Dustin's chugging some classy red over there.
It's a box of hijinks wine that I found at Publix.
This is a lovely blend of red.
Dark
varieties,
red.
for sure.
It's dark red. Like
dark red.
It's like a Starburst description. Is it pink or dark red?
It's like, as long as it's not orange.
I love pink Starburst. I liked orange Starburst. I didn't care for yellow as much.
Yellow was the one that everybody hated. Yeah. Same as the Runts bananas was the same.
I was going to say that all forms of yellow. Yes. Yeah. Do you feel like your palate ever changed? Like when you got older, the banana, it's like coleslaw. You come back to it and you're like, nope, turns out
I never liked banana. Like even when beers have that sort of like Saison sometimes have a banana flavor, that turns me off. I can't.
Dude, there was a whole time where I'd get a beer at a ball game and it would taste like banana. And I'd ask my friends, like, was that a thing? I've asked other people and they didn't. Like, why was it only at ball games?
I think because the beer sits there longer. So,
and it's Coors Light or
so the beer will change over time if it's just sitting there.
Yeah,
the flavor profile will change. I remember that beer bar I used to go to all the time. They would put something on tap that wouldn't be popular.
You mean a bar? You went to a beer bar?
Beer bar, yeah, a bar, a tap house. I used to go to all the time. Yeah, they would put something on tap and it wouldn't be popular. And then if you tried it and you tried it a couple weeks later, it would taste completely like different.
Oh, wow. They'd be like, okay, nobody likes this. Let's hold on to it and see if it tastes any better later.
But usually it would be worse. well, that would just happen because it's like, well, we got to.
Oh, I got it.
You finish it before.
I understand.
Try it again later.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. But also, like some saisons and some Hefeweizens, so are brewed to taste that way. That's part of the profile. Cloven banana, which I hate.
Cloven banana. I think the Bible specifically warns us about cloven bananas. Sign of the beast.
We're going to have some New Testament, Old Testament stuff happening in the headlines. So
good. Can I recommend an interesting Orthodox podcast that James sent in?
Okay, sure.
I'll send it to you. It was a good episode. I think that the insight from it is still worthwhile. Have you looked at the other news headlines already?
Yes.
My headline about the red heifers?
Yeah.
I got that from James's recommendation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was aware of that, but I don't know where I was aware of it from.
I was not aware. Well, church growing up.
No, you know what I think it was from? I think it was from Alex Jones.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Come on. Show starts.
All right. The Arizona Senate voted 16-14 to repeal the state's strict 1864 abortion ban, recently reinstated by the state Supreme Court, sending the measure to Governor Hobbs, who was expected to sign it into law.
Which is hilarious because they're still going to challenge it in the election now, too. So they're like, oh, you want to fucking start shit? We'll make sure you don't fucking. No, we get this written down for once and for all.
This is so wild to me. So the Supreme Court of Arizona says, oh, yeah, this law from 200 something years ago.
Like, just answer me this. Look, like, it's just me and you talking. I get it.
Yeah.
It's fucking annoying broads. They always want to be uppity and with their fucking opinions on everything. But like, they should be allowed to vote, right? Could they vote in Arizona in 1864?
I doubt it.
No, the answer was no, and you know it.
The answer is no. I know it. Yes.
So what the fuck, man? Like, you're talking about something that women deal with specifically that men voted on about an opinion, no science, like, right?
No,
they were still bleeding humors out of you or whatever. Like, this was not a I
don't even know if it was voted on. I think some just like organization implemented it because they weren't even a state yet. So they just adopted it as policy. Yeah.
Well, go on. You definitely weren't saying what I'm talking about.
No, this seems like and we'll have more headlines to further exemplify
guys
this,
we have more headlines, so don't worry.
It seems like this just sort of, I don't know, this feels like the mascot for the hamster running in the wheel and going nowhere as far as government has been recently. It's just, what are we doing here? We're spinning our wheels.
All it does is bring Democrats out to vote.
I mean, that's certainly going to have that result there, I would imagine. Right? Yeah. It's bizarre to me. It's bizarre that we can make me read about this stuff. Yes.
Dick. Police cleared a pro-Palestinian protest encampment at UCLA as demonstrations against the Israel-Hamas war continue at dozens of colleges nationwide. When they say dozens, it actually doesn't sound like that many. Like,
it really doesn't.
Literally dozens, guys. Literally dozens. So the police response in New York was criticized for being, oh my God, I've never seen so many cops before. It's like, did you live through 2020? I seem to remember a lot of cops.
I remember a lot of cops.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, it's a vehicle I've never seen before. It breaches on the second floor. It's like, okay. Like, I don't know. People were like, this might as well be the IDF. It's like the IDF would have fucking drone stroked that shit. Like, it's like, hey, there's kids inside. Yeah, we know. We don't want them to grow up and be terrorists. So
you've never seen,
that's what they say.
You've never seen them try to breach the upper area of a building with a special vehicle? Like, did you see Waco or
no? Did I see what Waco?
Waco? I mean,
and look, man, I hate to be such a bad person to say that it makes me happy to watch them retreat back out of the window, but it makes me happy every time I see them flee from the window. Like, I don't like. I wish that none of the tensions got to the point that real human beings were like, that person was shot, those people were retreating. Like, I don't like that. But like, hey, you set that guy up with a weird like shipment and the UPS guy and just
it's a whole thing.
Like, kind of didn't handle that well. Also, the guy that was in charge of the FBI at the time was the guy that ran the report at Penn State. And why don't I make people who already don't like me from what I'd previously said not like me more, because I think that the Penn State investigation was flawed. Okay.
All right.
So let's go back to the normal thing that I'm being controversial on. Why did I say all of that? So the New York response was too many cops. The LA response is what happens when you get not enough cops. And they got the good version of not enough cops. So there was not enough cops responding at LA. And I get it. Where's UCLA? Westwood, right? Like right next to Brentwood, right where OJ killed his ex-wife. Like, it's literally like you could jog from where OJ's house was, or where, sorry, Nicole Brown's house was, to where the UCLA campus is. And those are a bunch of rich white people that don't want to have, 1,000 cops show up. So there was probably a lot of influence with NIMBYism. NIMBYism, I think, more than anything. But anyways, not enough cops showed up at UCLA, and counter protesters started beating on the people in the encampment.
Originally, that's what caused the cops to respond, was there was violence. So there was two competing camps fighting violently, actually.
So do you think they fought because no reason, or because there weren't enough cops there?
Well, so the cops responded first to that, because at that point, up to that point, UCLA hadn't asked for police intervention, as far as I understand.
You're tearing apart my narrative.
So UCLA had allowed them to do the protest. They had requested them to move, etc., but they hadn't actually called cops. When the violence kicked off between those two groups, then they called the cops. The cops made that disperse and then kind of left and then came back and rooted out
But
the
still
entire
not
thing.
enough cops, right?
Still not enough cops.
Who the fuck am I? What am I sitting here saying? Not enough cops. Not just too few cops. There's just not enough good cops.
That you heard it. Dustin wants more cops on the streets, folks.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you're going, because okay, here's why I said this is the good version of not enough cops, because the bad version of not enough cops is they freak out and start shooting people because they're I was scared of my life, you know.
Yeah,
like he was reaching for my gun.
Active shooter, active shooter.
Who doesn't want to reach for a cop's gun? I mean, come on, I got one in a drawer here. I'm just constantly wanting to pull out. I don't know. Do we have? Would you want to just move on to Anti-Semitism Awareness Act and we can
let's move on to that
subject? Okay.
Okay. So the House voted 320 to 91 to pass the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which aims
That's
to
a lot
direct
of Democrats along with Republicans. So 100% of the Republicans, except for like 2, right?
More than that, which aims to direct the enforcement of anti-discrimination laws at educational institutions. The bill now heads to the Senate. So this bill was introduced by the Republicans. It was an attempt to sort of divide the left, essentially, because they're aware that there is a pretty big divide on the left side about whether or not we want to support Israel or, you know, we're horrified at the atrocities happening in Gaza. So 70 Democrats voted no on this bill, as well as a number of Republicans. I want to say like 18, mostly freedom.
When I said a number of people that didn't vote, I was talking about the Republicans. You were saying more Democrats joined.
Yeah, more 70 Democrats voted no. The rest voted yes, obviously, and about 18, I think, Republicans voted against it as well. It's very strange to see AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Boebert and Gates voting the same direction on a bill. So bizarre, man.
What did they vote for? Gates. So that was it. They voted against the bill.
Yes. So did AOC and Ilhan Omar and about 68 other Democrats.
Yeah.
So the far right side voted no because they said that this bill makes Christians anti-Semites.
Wait, hold on. Yes, but like you're being way too partisan if that's the way you're going to represent this.
Tell me why.
Because the point of saying that would be making statements that are casual interpretations of the Bible, which maybe you shouldn't be saying that on the House floor, but like reading a Christian script would be considered anti-Semitic based on the script, the language in this bill.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find Matt Gates's quote. So I want to say before I go on with this, I think the whole bill is stupid.
Yeah.
And I would have voted against it too, but for different reasons.
Well, it does limit what can be said, and it's in a way that like kowtows to a interpretation of what anti-Semitism means.
Right. So the whole thing at the crux here is that sorry, for some reason I can't find this on the Times page right now. So the crux of the matter is that the bill refers to the Holocaust, National Holocaust Museum, something like that. Their definition of what anti-Semitism is.
Maybe the ADL.
It's not the ADL. It is the Holocaust Association of some sort,
okay.
Or historical
Holocaust Association. They got a little logo. It's.
I have. Why can't I find this fucking article?
What's the guy in the NBA logo? He's Jerry Buss, right?
Jerry West.
Jerry West.
Wait, no,
Jerry Buss. Jerry Buss.
Genie Buss.
Okay. Anyways, Jerry West.
So the definition that they use to define what anti-Semitic language is sort of that's been up in the air. Like people have been arguing about that definition for quite a while. And so this bill, actually, when I first read the bill, because the link that we got on our news service, the link is just directly to the bill. It's not to a news story about it. So I read the bill.
People all voted for it without reading it.
Well, the bill isn't that long, even.
Well, clearly they didn't vote. They did like these are people that are driven by Christian fundamentalism that voted for it, and
right.
like it applies double standards. What I have I had a bullet point of things that were Christians might not have liked about it.
Well, so essentially, what Matt Gaetz said, and what I think Boberger MTG said, was that if you said that the Jews offered Christ to Herod for crucifixion, that would be anti-Semitic language. That's the gist of it.
Why would you be saying that?
That's the whole thing. Is why would we? The whole thing that we're even talking about this on the House floor is ridiculous to me. I get it. But there are issues on college campuses. We have over 2,000 students arrested for protesting already. It's a problem across the country. But no, I don't see the need for this to be legislated by.
So it passed the House. I don't think it's passing the Senate.
That's what's happening. So they're trying to figure out if it will pass the Senate, because they have the same problem in the Senate where you have people on the right and people on the left, both who are opposed to it. So if they can get the majority or not, it seems that's still sort of in question at the moment. I think I just had to refresh this page.
I have some music to play if you're refreshing and reading anything.
I am.
So the Jew down the well. Do you want me to find other music? Should I find other music? I'm sorry.
Maybe find other music.
Oh,
yeah.
It was the first. I only have a couple of music tracks on here. I'm sorry. I have this one.
Gonorrhea on Valentine's Day.
Is that better?
That's better. All right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene said she opposed the bill because it could convict Christians of anti-Semitism for believing the gospel that says Jesus was handed over to Herod to be crucified by the Jews. And then where's Matt Gaetz?
To who?
To Christians.
Herod?
Herod, yeah.
Spell that?
Who's
Aren't you reading it?
Not anymore. I moved on.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It's Herod. Yeah.
Herod.
Yeah.
Matt
Gaetz says it was a ridiculous hate speech bill. He said the gospel itself would meet the definition of anti-Semitism under the terms of this bill.
See, that's what I was saying, and that was the part that I was kind of trying to own them on. And then as I was using the words to say that, I was like, wait, why the fuck do I want them to be able to read the gospel at the House of Representatives? So, like, as I said, I was like, well, non-problem isn't a problem, so I don't care.
Right. The whole thing that this is even part of our political discourse right now.
Can you believe it is so restrictive? You can't even read a religious textbook into our secular institution. How weird. Like, yeah, and they tricked me, co-host of our podcast, Alan.
Charlie Kirk posted, did the House of Representatives just make parts of the Bible illegal? And Tucker Carlson replied, yes, the New Testament.
I got Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh confused, and I got bullet points from Matt Walsh I tried to read a second ago, just assuming one of them would be the Charlie Kirk ones. And you can imagine I get tiny face Charlie Kirk and giant beard Matt Walsh confused.
Sure.
Like, why do these people have such like logos for like facial features?
That is interesting.
They're like non-casual faced people.
It's like when you made your own character in Wii, like the little me characters.
You know what, Alan? Our show's really gonna blow up. We're gonna leverage on the whole like Alan had shingles thing. Like we gotta have like Alan shingle head. Does that mean that was mean? Calling you shingle head might have been the meanest thing I've ever said. All right, shingle head. And the timestamp. Are you mad?
No.
I hope you don't think shingle head when you see yourself, because I don't.
No.
But I'm saying, I'm trying to like, what would mine be? Beardy face? That'll go away though. I don't have a Matt Walsh beard. Maybe I should get shingle
face. No, I don't recommend it.
I'm gonna get that shot. Me and Thrash were texting about getting vaccines. I was like, I'll tell you one vaccine I'm gonna fucking get. I'm gonna get that shingles vaccine.
Absolutely.
I'm not going through the shit Alan went through. They've been advertising the shingle vaccine. I'm like, that's a good point. I haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
No, I mean to make it get itchy.
Jared Moskowitz, Democrat of Florida, said, I don't think the Jewish community is worried right now what the Jew laser lady has to say. Which I thought was pretty funny.
Well, I think it's pretty funny. That came from somebody named Moskowitz, and I have to find my rally clip.
Oh, wowie. You know, a wowie.
A wowie.
A wowie.
Mouse, so, yeah. Mouskowitz from it's from Fievel.
Fievel Goes West.
Real heads get the Fievel reference.
An American Tale. Yeah.
Rafa.
So yeah, as we've already stated, it's unclear whether it would pass the Senate. It seems pretty unlikely at the moment. And I haven't heard Biden weigh in whether or not he would sign off on it or not. I would imagine he would if it passed. But
Oh, I heard Biden. He weighed in a little bit.
did he say he would pass it?
He said this.
I got hairy legs.
Okay, never mind. You want to read the next headline?
Wait, isn't it yours?
Yeah, House Democrats said they would vote against an effort to remove Republican Speaker of the House, Big Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana. I'm reading every word on the screen. Led by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, who said she will proceed with the motion next week. So get ready next week. Old pop-up. Is there a camera there? Is there a camera? Oh my God, that's so weird. I have all these microphones here. Oh, I have a poster board over there. I guess I'll give you an impromptu speech. Why not? That's what passes for being a fucking politician.
Yeah.
Like,
she had a poster board with Big Mike next to Hakeem Jeffries hugging or something like that.
Oh, dude. So
yeah,
I got that clip. I've actually put that in next week's show where she's like,
Okay.
people think that Hakeem, oh, you know what? Go ahead. Hakeem the Dream Jeffries.
She's been making rumblings about this for probably a month or so, almost ever since Mike first compromised with the Democrats, I want to say. She's now saying she's going to for sure do it, and she's going to introduce it in a way which will force the House to take it up within a few days. So that's supposed to happen next week. They actually have to vote on it.
Oh, not the tailpipe.
No. And she said, look, I don't care if we fail. I want people to put their name by, a vote.
No, she said, I look forward to Democrats putting their name next to a Republican Speaker of the House. So she has this delusion where she's like, all these Democrats are going to get primaried because in their campaigns, they'll be able to say they voted for a Republican. Like, dude, no, that's not going to work.
Not how that's going to work. No.
Because you're implying that another Democrat is going to run and say, fuck this Democrat. They voted for Mike McCarthy or what? Big Mike
Johnson. Yeah.
Big Mike Johnson. Like, no, you're thinking of your party and how you all take snipes at each other so you can get on the fucking camera. Everyone here in the Democratic Party right now is united because they can't stand the people who have led the movement that you are trying to inherit.
Right.
Once this all settles down, you'll be able to make claims like that. You'll be able to say that Democrat is a good bet to trick them into saying this because come election time, people will they were all trying to not let Trump get reelected. Like it's weird because what's the classic phrase? I don't belong to any organized party. I'm a Democrat. Right now, they're actually somewhat organized against Trump, and then they're like, okay, I don't got anything else other than calling you deranged. So Trump derangement syndrome. Gotcha.
It has been a very uniting factor. She did also say, though, she said, I want all those names on a list. The American people should see that list. So, I mean,
ask you a question about the American people making a list.
Sure.
Well, there would be American people. So I've had this floating around in the things that don't make it into the just asking questions because they're kind of too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a curveball. Is that okay?
Yeah.
The Dreamers all put their names into a registry to be accepted to be American citizens. That's what the Dreamers are, right?
Yes. Yes.
That is literally a list that MAGA could use. I almost said would. I don't know that they would. They've signed up to come into the country, and that naivete that it wouldn't be used against them should the opposing party. That's the old America where you'd sign up for that list. Current America, why would you ever put your name on a list of people to be deported under the next administration?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were concerns about that. I remember, especially when it was potentially. Well, that concern was brought up when there was a potential for it going away. I want to say Trump's first term. People were concerned about that, especially like if they were going to.
I'm talking about next term. Like start things off. You start off with the list you have, and then you work towards the.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be on that list. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And if like I had a family member or something like that who potentially was going to put their name on that list, I might advise them not to. I mean, it's a scary thought.
So that's like when I try to use like the wall as an example of like, sure, I get the intention. I don't want to live in a country that has a fucking wall around it, right? Is the same thing. It's like, I don't want to live in a country where people are concerned about signing up for the list to become citizens because that could be used against them by a retributive form of government in the next administration.
Yeah. I mean, that's some 1984 shit right there, right? That's
sure.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go there. You can just say Soviet Union. Yeah.
Sure. All right. A federal appeals court ruled that North Carolina and West Virginia's exclusion of certain medical treatments for gender-affirming purposes under state healthcare plans is discriminatory and violates federal law.
I am so glad you have this in here. I thought we missed it.
Okay. So just a point of emphasis here is that it only applies to state-run healthcare. So state employees, people who have access to state
as in
funds.
the individual states or the federal government?
No, as in North Carolina and West Virginia state.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you're a North Carolina government employee, your state insurance, they had passed a law not allowing for these gender-affirming healthcare to happen or be funded.
So the court said no, the opposite's true. You have to.
The court said no, you have to. One of the arguments against it was that a lot of these state-run health plans are not in very good shape financially, and so some of this healthcare is very expensive.
Yeah.
And so we have to make decisions, fiscally. The court said no, that's not a viable reason. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. I think so. Private healthcare can still do whatever the hell they want. They don't have to.
That kind of goes back to that British report that came out a couple of weeks ago. We talked about where it's like you can still do this on the private sector. It's not banned.
Right. But it's opposite though, because
it is the opposite. But the concern is they can't afford to do it.
Right.
And is what they're saying that it's chewing up state funds because these procedures are so expensive? Is that what they're saying?
That was one of the arguments for it.
Is that true? I mean, I'm sure they're not cheap, but I mean, is that true?
I haven't seen any statistical
My understanding is medical
data.
procedures are not cheap.
Sure, but I think most medical procedures are cheap.
That's what I was saying.
That's what you're saying. Yeah,
none are cheap. Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's expensive to medical treatment is expensive. So yeah, I didn't really know too much one way or the other how to feel about this, but I just wanted to get it out there. We talk about it a little.
Well, I think it's a good decision.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a good.
I think that if you operate under the assumption that this is how, from the neutral position, this is how someone feels. Take away how you feel about it and whether you think they're being malicious. This is how someone feels. This is how I can respond. Okay. If it's a medical thing, then let's cover that by our state medical program.
Right.
I don't care what my opinions are.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
It's like, 'cause then you get into a conversation of no, let's change your mind. Like, all right.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of anything to compare it to, and nothing really came.
Well, I mean, because the other thing is, it's so convenient to be trans these days, right? Like, obviously, they would much rather be trans than the gender assigned at birth person going through that high school age. Like, obviously, they would rather be trans. That's so much easier in life.
I understand you're being sarcastic, but I just want to point it out for people that didn't
do that. But fine. Is it New York? Is that me?
New York is you.
A New York judge ruled that former President Trump violated that's not how you sound. I just did my best. I'm sorry. President Trump violated a gag order in his go to trumpgags.com. Gag order in his hush money trial 9 times. 9 times. That's from Ferris Bueller, right? 9 times. I'm going to Google it. Can you read the rest of the headline? I'll Google.
Yeah. Fined him $9,000. The judge warned Trump that he could be jailed for future willful violations. There was actually another hearing this morning where they introduced 4 additional places where they felt that Trump had violated his gag order on social media.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, Alan's got new updates. Wait, can I play my 9 times then?
Sure.
So far this semester, he has been absent 9 times.
9 times?
9 times.
That guy's a child molester. He went to prison for it. Did you know that actor?
I don't think I did know that.
Principal from Ferris Bueller is a child molester. I should double check that, but I'm gonna keep it in the show.
Sure.
I don't remember him being sick 9 times.
That's probably because he wasn't sick.
He was also the scientist in Howard the Duck, I think.
He was skipping school. Wake up and smell the coffee, Mrs. Bueller.
All right, whatever. We're good. I got my
9 times.
9 times.
So they brought 4 additional counts, I guess you could call them, or events, places, times, whatever. Of those 4, it seems 3 of them were pretty likely to be upheld by the judge. But just like I had said previously, I mean, $1,000 a pop isn't going to do much to move the needle in Trump world. But eventually he's going to have to say, hey, if you do this again, it's not going to be a fine anymore.
And he said that he didn't say if you do this again, I might put you in. He
said it could be incarceratory.
But didn't know that was a word.
I didn't know that was a word either.
Incarceratory.
Incarceratory, which is a funny way of, or interesting way of saying you could go to jail.
Yeah.
So he's putting it out there. I think he knows he has to play the parent in this role. It's gonna be tough for him to do that.
Well, speaking of parent, I think the funny thing is that he was like, you know what? Based on our schedule, you definitely can go to your son's graduation.
Yep.
By the way, that'll be his first son's graduation he attends.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me at all, but I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know that either. I'm just guessing.
That's very funny.
So the judge was like, yeah, you can go to your son's graduation. I never said you couldn't. I said, if you're a fucking cunt, I'm gonna have to lock you up.
And based on how the trial was progressing,
then going, you seem to be, a bad cunt.
Yeah. And then I think he gave him another day off too that he had requested.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Trump wants to leverage this, he needs to find a way to violate the gag order right before May 19th, because May 19th is his son's graduation. So if he wants to have his Jim Carrey and Liar Liar, where he's like, I'm Jose Canseco, getting dragged off to contempt jail, he needs to do it leading up to 5/19. Then he doesn't have to go to his son's graduation. Everything works out great for Trump.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Why would you want to go watch fucking 7-foot tall Barron Trump walk across?
Fundraise off of it like crazy.
Oh my, way better than going to your son's graduation. Like,
way better.
What do you have to win from going, right? But think about what the upsides are.
I mean, you're not going to post those photos on your campaign website. Like,
here I am at my son's graduation. Lisan Al Gaib, isn't he?
Don't know.
You don't want to mess with the son of Trump. It makes me scared.
Son of
they
Trump
say
is a
he
weird
speaks
phrase.
Slovenian to his mom around it. I wonder if there's like she's
inside.
Yes, yeah. Did I say that clearly enough? Because I
understood what you meant.
I should not be this drunk for a show.
You're saying that perhaps they have a private conversation and other people around Canada.
Well, like the way you always feel when foreigners speak their language in front of you, right, Alan?
Jesus. Oh God, let's move on, shall we?
Fine.
Was it my turn?
Sure.
Yes. 4 officers were killed in a shootout and standoff while
Jesus.
serving. I know.
Hold
a
on.
warrant in
That's
North Carolina. So details here: there were two police officers from the local corrections department, one from the local police department, and one from maybe the sheriff. They were all serving the marshal's office. The marshal's office, because they were serving a warrant. This
the
was
warrant for him having a gun he wasn't supposed to have, right?
Yes, because he was a felon.
Turns out I think he had that gun.
Turns out, looks like he did. Yeah. So this scene is described as pretty harrowing. One of the neighbors actually had like SWAT team members in his home shooting from the windows of their home into the other home next door.
Yeah. They end up like driving into the house or something.
Yes. And then one of the officers that was shot, I guess, was actually dragged through this man's house to get him to safety for some reason.
Into the neighbor's
yeah. So pretty.
Lived.
I believe so. Yeah. Pretty hectic situation. Went on for a few hours before they finally
Only
stormed the
2
place.
shooters inside too, right?
That's what they think.
Kind of
Yeah.
impressive. Like 2 shooters hold up can take out a whole SWAT team. Like
I guess if you're bunkered in the right place and you got the right stuff,
give you a reason.
But yeah, pretty tragic situation.
Pretty you don't like.
One of the suspects was killed. Another person was taken into custody that they think was involved, and I believe there was a woman and some children there as well. But just a horrific situation. I don't know what else to say about that.
Yeah, this is pretty unnecessary.
Yeah.
I feel like if you were to apply my test for whether you should still be allowed to have a gun despite being a felon, he would probably have failed it. So I don't choose to make this the hill I'll die on. But I only have half-cocked thoughts of this happened because you went into the house because you thought that would be done. Maybe there's a better way to handle it. Maybe there isn't. Maybe that's what law enforcement has to do because I don't want to have to.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the guy wasn't a threat. maybe that was all a waste of time, and maybe these people are dead for no reason.
Yeah, I don't think we don't know.
I don't know.
Enough.
I don't know enough specifically about.
Yeah, I know. I think of the situation that happened
in general. I mean, what I said, but like, yeah, specifically, no.
I remember the situation that happened by my work about a year ago, where there was a similar sort of standoff between the police and a man barricaded.
Oh no, it was not at all similar. The
No,
reason
well-
that your Allen's story went on for like 3 days because they
Right.
didn't just bust the door down and start shooting.
Because
everyone.
he was a cop.
Because he's a former cop.
Former cop, yeah. Yeah,
Former
but
cop
I
shot someone shot his ex-wife through the front door, and they're like,
Right.
whoa, 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 let's not just raid the house. It might be one of us.
right.
Another cop.
Right. So I mean, so definitely the reasons for restraint seem a little sus in that instance. However, maybe some restraint shown could have resulted in a better outcome. I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, this touches a lot of bases that go in directions that aren't helpful on the initial story that take me into things like guns rights and stuff like that.
Sure.
I've
All
painted
right.
myself into enough of a corner. My turn.
All right, let's. No, it's me. Series of tornadoes struck the Midwest. No, wait, no, it is your turn. I'm sorry.
Series of tornadoes struck the Midwest over the weekend, causing significant destruction in several states and at least 5 deaths in Oklahoma. The worst of the tornadoes we saw footage of were in Nebraska.
Nebraska was bad.
One of the ones in Oklahoma was spinning the other direction,
which was.
That's
I mean, the
ominous.
video. Yeah, some of the footage of these tornadoes was just absolutely terrifying. Like I think you said in the secret track that if you like seen Twister, a Hollywood production, if they had shown you tornadoes like this, you'd have been like, nah, I don't. That's
right.
Yeah, that's not believable.
And by the way, the special effects in Twister do not hold up.
No, they really don't.
No,
They really
some of
don't.
the cows are
The
real.
cows is pretty fun.
Is that a cow?
And Helen Hunt.
Dude,
Helen Hunt holds up.
I was never in that camp.
Oh, I liked her.
Yeah, I didn't like Helen Hunt, and I didn't like the lady that played the paleontologist in Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Laura Dern. I wasn't a big Laura Dern or Helen Hunt fan. I think Helen Hunt got a lot of like pub for Baby Blues. No, that was the comic strip. What was that show she did with Paul Reiser where they have a kid?
Oh,
remember when Paul Reiser was a huge celebrity?
Dude.
Do you remember when
Yeah.
Paul Reiser had like a resurgence 5 years ago and then it just didn't really take off, just like his career in the 90s? Like, this is so improbable to start with. And then we were like, yeah, he's not a bad actor. Hey, I don't know why. I just don't care about this guy. Like, like, we already have a Albert Brooks. We already have an Albert Brooks. We don't need a Paul Reiser.
We don't need another one.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty scary stuff.
Remember Albert Brooks named at birth Albert Einstein because his parents that lacked historical reference. Albert Brooks' birth name is Albert Einstein, but to be a celebrity, you had to change it to Brooks.
Fun fact. Yeah, so the tornadoes in Oklahoma unfortunately did cause the loss of life of 5 people, including a young infant, which is pretty tragic. Yeah, it was rough the whole weekend. They were announcing tornado warnings and severe storm warnings all throughout that area. Did you have anything in your area or no?
No, we've been fine. It's been hot it's been hot during the day, cooling down into good temps. Like we just did a dog walk before the show and I was like, it's fucking nice out. And you looked at the clouds coming in. We got a storm coming in overnight. I don't know. Ever since that last tornado that got a few miles from here, I've been a little bit anxious every time we get close to it. But I also have lived here for a few years and not thought about it the way I do now. So I'm sure I'll drop my concern to a manageable level because what can you do, right? I will say this. It's better than earthquakes. Earthquakes, the whole damn place shakes. Chances are nothing happens to you, right? Tornadoes, you're in a storm. It's thunderstorm anyways. This time, someone's house might get torn up. Probably not yours. Like it's like statistically, it's like, why are you going to stress? Like maybe, you know?
Right. I mean, it sucks that it's a roll of the dice.
Have a
But
plan.
at least the odds aren't that. At least the odds aren't that crazy.
Right. You go through your routine of like, okay, make sure all these things are charged,
Right.
And all
Batten
the
down
things
the
that can
edges.
become batteries, like make sure your laptop's charged so you can use it as a battery for your phone, shit like that.
Right. All right. Ukrainian forces retreated from multiple positions in eastern Ukraine amid the advance of Russian forces as Ukraine waits for newly committed U.S. aid. So they lost 3 or 4 villages in the last weeks. Their commander came out and had a long post on Telegram, I think, about it.
The
Bottom line is
Soviet-style commander, the guy that replaced the popular guy,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy that does human wave stuff. Yeah.
Bottom line is that they haven't had the equipment or really the manpower to hold those positions. You know, if they had the equipment, maybe they could have done a better job, but they just haven't had the ammo or other stuff that they need, and so they're losing ground. And it's been a stalemate mostly.
Well, because even though Russia's gaining ground, they're not doing it with like really impressive manpower advantage and tactics, right? Like it really is just a depleted Ukrainian front.
Yeah, they're being overwhelmed.
And no defense in depth.
Right.
Which is a criticism, is that they don't have effective defense in depth. Like if Cody can come on here, me and you can have an understanding of it, then the people in charge of this shit should have been doing that 6 months ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks
You
to
don't have the resources to do it. Like,
yeah, it sucks to report about it, but I mean, it's just the truth of the ground circumstances there. So I mean, hopefully that aid gets there soon and is helpful. Hopefully,
did you see that video today that showed some Ukrainian soldiers allegedly and a effigy of Donald Trump, and then they lit it on fire? Those were 100% Russians, right? Like that was Russian Telegram. Like
that was definitely, yeah. Actually, there was an article. I didn't have a headline about it, but just going back to that real quick, propaganda. There's evidence that Russia and Iran and China are already using the protests at universities around the Israel-Palestine conflict as another wedge to sort of push into.
It's a gift. Like you would be foolish,
Absolutely,
right? Like
yeah.
It's not to say those people are wrong for having those beliefs, but it's just while you're weighing out your calculus, like, okay, is it worth it in this regard?
Well, and also if you're, bouncing around online and you encounter some of this stuff, just be aware some of that is psyops. I mean, some of that is straight up propaganda. They're putting out social media posts, web pages.
Yeah. I'll just open Twitter again and see what happens.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
yeah.
sure. So yeah, I think they identified over 400 different posts that they saw that were directly from one of those 3 countries.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Here, let's do this again. Let's see what happens. This was fun last time. So here's the homepage on Twitter. If I don't log in, Elon Musk.
Oh, imagine that. The top post.
So weird. He's he's trying so hard to be fucking Tom, right?
From MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Wasn't Tom like a nice guy though? This guy's
that's true.
He's trying the opposite of Tom.
We got a volcano erupting.
Oh,
this isn't so bad. That's a wave. Oh, that's that drone, that underwater drone. No, that's a whale.
That is a whale. That underwater drone I saw though.
This is a fox.
Do you think that's where that UAP footage came from? Was one of those? So remember there's that UAP footage that was showed like an object like in the sky and then suddenly it dove into the ocean and then it like came back out of the ocean and flew.
You asked me if I thought it was a whale?
No. You think it was like a drone technology like that?
Oh, no. I think it's either
moved really fast.
You're talking about the Navy footage?
Yeah. There was that one that went underwater and came back.
Off San Diego?
I don't remember where it was, but yeah.
So I think that either it's aliens or it's
some sort of tech we don't know about
that we probably made.
Right.
Or
that seems more likely to me.
Or it's something on the lens, something on the telemetry, right?
Oh, just
like visible.
Yeah. Just an optical error of some sort.
I believe the person that saw what they said saw what they think they saw.
Sure.
But I've been in Columbia, Tennessee, and looked up and been like, holy shit, it's aliens. Oh yeah, Starlink. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. But like,
seeing Starlink is weird.
It is, yeah.
First time I saw it, I was like, that's freaky.
Because it's scattershot. Like, it's not uniform. Like, yeah.
Yeah. All right, you want to hit this next one?
Yeah, but I don't know where I am.
10.
This one, kitchen. 10. World Central Kitchen will resume food aid in Gaza after the organization paused operations only after a little mishap where 7 workers were killed by an Israeli strike.
So I didn't realize that, but that was April 1st. So that was a full month ago.
I didn't say my rabbits.
Oh, damn it. It's not going to be a good month.
Alan.
So so 30 days it's been where they haven't been delivering aid to Gaza. They say they're ready to go back. They've, I guess, worked out some hopefully better strategies to work with the IDF to get in and out of the territory. and so they're ramping back up. So I mean, it's a good thing. It sucks that you know, that there was 30 days where they weren't able to deliver that aid. It sucks that, you know, an NGO has to work in a field of operations that where they can be taken out. And you know, yeah, I don't know what
I mean, I feel like it's kind of like I'm not old enough to say this. Remember when Jack in the Box was killing people with E. coli?
Yeah.
And then like 6 months later, you're like, if there's one place I can eat fast food that won't kill me with E. coli, it's got to be Jack.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
They probably.
It's probably what they're thinking. They're like, look, if there's one place I can not get shot by IDF, it's now here, I guess, right? Like maybe.
Yeah. They're definitely going to be more careful.
Israel will be.
Yeah. All right. 8 U.S. newspapers owned by Aiden Global Capital sued OpenAI and Microsoft for copyright infringement, alleging they use millions of articles to train AI models without permission. The New York Times has a similar lawsuit going, and I think there's some other entities that do as well. I mean,
the cat's out of the bag. They already got it. They train apps. Like I can pay you. It'll be cheaper than what. That's the problem, right? Like they could have paid them pennies before, and now they know what it's worth.
Now they know it's valuable. I mean, where I start to have an issue is if you have, let's say somebody like Salman Rushdie, who has written over 20 books that are available. I'm sure that you could scan it with your AI LLM. And his books are very verbose. There are a lot of words in there. I'm sure an LLM could probably ingest those 20 books as well as anything he's posted online and write you a story in the style of Salman Rushdie.
Of course.
And then whose IP is that? Like, that sucks. Like, that seems like you're going to kill art.
So it does. It's also an acceleration of the process that's already happened, right? Like you learn from the mentors, you learn from the masters.
Sure. Like, not like this.
I know. I agree. It's not like this, but it's an acceleration. Like it's an acceleration of the existing process. And when you talk about it that way, that's specific in that way. But we've enjoyed these image creators, and all the image creators do is come up with what previous things that are the words that you put in. Sure. Like I've tagged these images with these words. I've used that to create an image based off the words you gave me. Right. Mm-hmm. That's dummy's way of describing it.
Right.
I mean, that's why like the well-constructed AI images are always this happening under this person's style, maybe mixed with this person's style, right? Mm-hmm. And like you keep refining the prompt.
And this subject matter.
Right. So you keep refining the prompt with things that can take the machine back to data pools. What's that called? Databases.
Yeah. I mean, so some of these AIs are also using like information from search engines. So now when you go to look for something and you type it into the AI as opposed to your Google or your Bing, if you're
weird.
Yeah. You're bypassing the Google and the Bing, right? So any ad revenue that they might generate based on you doing that search on their site is now missing. And the AI who used that.
How do they formulate that lawsuit?
They're working on it right now.
Bing won't because OpenAI is Microsoft, right?
Right.
Bing was really worried. They're like,
we
didn't have anything to scrape anyways.
Yeah, so there's a lot of sort of sticky wickets about the way that's working right now. I mean, if I were, a columnist for the New York Times and I had 20 years worth of columns on the internet, and then you scanned all those and you could make a news story that sounds like I wrote it, I'd be upset.
Here's the thing: they can make it sound like you wrote it, but it won't have it can't read your mind.
Sure.
It can write it,
but
if you give it the prompts, it can write it in the way that you write, but it can't come up with the twist. It can't come up with, this is the thing that I'll use to catch your attention. This is the way that I'll tell you what we're telling you about. This is the way I sum it all up at the end. Like, it will do that, but it won't do it the way you would. It's still not you.
I understand that, but I guess what I would be more concerned about is somebody using that technology to make it appear like I'm saying something that I don't disagree with.
I got a lawsuit and I got a soundbite in the next week's show. There's a principal that is suing the athletic director who tried to get him fired Because they had him saying a bunch of things about the blacks and the Jews, and he didn't say any of that. Just like that wasn't me a second ago. That was Allan.
Wow.
AKI of me saying that.
I have not heard of this story. Okay, interesting.
Now you have heard about it.
Now I have.
On Tuesday when I play the clip.
You hear the rest of the story.
Yes.
All right, it's your turn.
That's the rest of the story. It's a Paul Harvey.
It is, yes.
It was right there. I was so proud of myself. It was right there. The FCC voted 3-2 to reinstate net neutrality rules. What?
Yeah.
Why was this not news? This will require broadband providers to treat all internet traffic equally. Okay, so this already took place, but the FCC had to vote on it, or what?
So I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do. Back when this in 2017, when this was happening, this was a huge deal. Like John Oliver spent like weeks and weeks of episodes talking about this on his show. It was pretty big.
I remember that in 2017.
Yeah, it was like, this is internet apocalypse, right?
And then it wasn't.
And then it wasn't. In fact, so it was a 3-2 vote.
It just took the internet back to the way it was before 2013.
Yeah. So one of the people that voted against it on the FCC, who was a right-leaning, I don't know how you're a Republican on the FCC, but whatever. I don't think your political affiliation should matter. But
you would hope.
So yeah, you're just a voter. You're on the board of the FCC. That's what you are. You're not a Republican.
Conservative member of the FCC.
I think the article said Republican, though. Anyways, his argument was exactly that. It was like, look, this was a hoax the whole time. It wasn't really that big of a deal, and this isn't that big of a deal.
In 2017. Like to go to repeal it in 2017 and then to reinstate it now.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference. And
here's the thing.
We were concerned about it because we thought that internet providers would favor certain traffic flows.
So for instance, if you got your internet through Comcast, it might slow down your Netflix connection because it wanted to sell you its streaming service or things like that.
Yeah. It turns out people fucking hate you if you do things like that, and you have to keep your customers.
Turns out, yeah. So
but this sounds like a win for Austrian economics.
I'm not aware of anybody being negatively impacted by this. If somebody has an article of that happening, please send it in.
Also, it was going to be the apocalypse. So if you're asking for data,
right, exactly,
in 2024, like,
it certainly was not what it was advertised.
Yeah.
And I was. I mean,
and the argument is that it would have cost money to maintain this way of enforcement and blah blah blah, and it gives power to the government that maybe wasn't necessary. And maybe we have other laws to get mad at these internet providers if they misuse their power.
Sure. I remember signing petitions back in the day about this very thing, saying like, we need to, this is bad. Don't do this. And being very disappointed when it,
there's kind of a pro-life thing, net neutrality. It's like, of course I want net neutrality. Like, of course I'm pro-life. Like, oh, you mean like that? Well, no, people should have a choice. Turns out I'm pro-choice. Sorry. Like, I mean, I am pro-life. But I hope people have the choice to choose pro-life. Like, don't take a choice away. Like,
All right.
Not you, because you're here, but other dummies that don't listen to the show. Biden administration. I feel like I just did the last one, but I'll do it. Biden administration forgave $6.1 billion in debt for 317 former Art Institute students. So all you people that went to film school and other forms of art institutes, calm the fuck down. This is if you went to the place called the Art Institute.
Right.
So if you went to the Art Institute, you get $6.1 billion of that debt was all it's all being forgiven. And people that went there got emails saying, turns out that was a scam, which isn't everybody that went to these fly-by-night schools that are no longer even like in business anymore because it was for-profit education and shit.
Mm-hmm. Like Trump University.
So those places are still under the burner, but this is one of the first big pillars to fall.
There was another one that fell a few years ago. I can't remember what it was called now.
ITT Technical Institute.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That one.
Remember the commercials for ITT?
Oh, they were nonstop.
Oh my God. Do you
Especially
remember
during the day?
Yes. Yeah. Do you remember Education Connection? Get connected for free at Education Connection. And do you remember the free credit report? FREE, that spells free credit report.com, baby. All right, pad for me. Do you want to read the next headline?
Sure. The Federal Reserve held its benchmark interest rate steady at a target range of 5.25% to 5.5%, but noted that its next policy move is unlikely to be a hike. So pretty much what we expected based on inflation news that we've been.
Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's?
Sorry.
Pretty much based on inflation news that we've had over the past few weeks, this is not surprising at all.
Well, I'm still on the last headline.
Me, a cool convertible or an SUV. Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. FREE, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. FREE, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby.
This guy on drums suck. I mean, he doesn't suck, but he's sucking up the vibes.
Yeah, you can't really understand the lyrics.
Sorry, dude.
You got me off on a tangent about Fudgy the Whale.
Why?
Well, I was shopping
Why is this?
Because for a new car, which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. FREE, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. FREE, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
Offer applies. Remember you had to enroll for triple advantage, Alan.
Sure.
Okay.
No, because remember Patton Oswalt had that bit about the jingle for Fudgy the Whale for Carvel ice cream.
No.
And really?
No, go on.
Okay. Carvel ice cream was a huge, I guess, like franchise or chain on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they had a Fudgy the Whale cake, and there was always a jingle about it. Oswald would sing. Anyways, I just read something recently that there was like a huge scandal where apparently the owner of that company was embezzling a bunch of money from the company, and then mysteriously had a heart attack before anything could be done about it.
What?
Yeah.
Is it funny because he had an ice cream company?
I just went.
What is he, a fucking Boeing
right.
whistleblower?
I don't know. I went from jingle to Fudgy to embezzling. It's just.
Oh, you're fine. Fudgy the Whale.
Fudgy the Whale.
All right.
Actually, there might be a jingle about it on YouTube. Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm desperately trying to remove this thumbnail so it doesn't show up next time.
Okay. All right. Well, we have some other news. Shall we get into?
Yeah, please do. I don't know how to get this off my screen.
All right. So this is actually what you were just talking about. Another Boeing-linked whistleblower has died. So
no shit. It was literally, hey.
Yeah. So this guy's name was Josh Dean. He was working for a subsidiary, essentially a spinoff from Boeing, and
that's not true. He blew the whistle on Spirit Aerosystems. They're the people that provide the fuselage and everything.
Right, but they were spun off that. Hold on, my internet's being weird.
I thought it was weird too. Yeah, Spirit Aerosystems. He was blowing the whistle on Spirit Aerosystems, right?
Right, but Spirit Aerosystems was spun off from Boeing and serviced Boeing products.
Oh, is that true? I thought they were always a separate entity. Okay, all right, but regardless, they're the people that deliver the big chunks of plane, and Boeing turns it into an aeroplane.
And he was saying that the
big
something about the holes in the bulkhead weren't being drilled correctly.
Guys, get Alan's gesture. Get that gesture. Get that. Come
on. So he'd already been fired at this point, but just bizarre that he suddenly got this infection. And then within like a week or two.
So he had like pneumonia with MRSA.
MRSA, yes.
And MRSA is like the catch-all for stand for medically resistant staphylococcal.
That sounds
severe.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So it's you can't antibiotic it, right? Like that's the problem with MRSA.
Within a few days, they were already considering amputating like his feet, and I think
they all turned black.
They turned all black, and his hands. I want to say,
extremities.
Yeah, he was in really rough shape.
Do you think they broad categorized, mislabeled some poisoning as MRSA? I mean, it seems like MRSA is MRSA, right? Like,
ooh, maybe it was Novichok.
Well, because MRSA is kind of vague.
It's pretty vague. Yeah, it's sort of a catch-all for that.
Yeah, it's not like SIDS vague, but it's like, why did I bring it to Dead Dog Records?
I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I don't think Boeing killed this guy by giving him MRSA.
I don't think so either. It's rather coincidental.
Yeah. I still think that last guy killed himself to send a message, but
I mean, I could see that.
It's continuous though, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, we can't do a news show and not talk about that headline if it's the day it's breaking. What about this next one, Alan? What about this next one? What about these red heifers, Alan? What did you got your Leviticus in front of you?
So
no, that sounds Exodus.
It's November. It's Numbers, actually.
Numbers.
It's Numbers. What these red cows from Texas have to do with war and peace in the Middle East. So there's a passage in Numbers that says that the temple can't be rebuilt until there are red cows sacrificed, which is just, I want to just, it's 2024, you guys. Like, we're shipping red cows across the world because, anyways,
because of something somebody wrote down, probably not at the time that people were saying the things that took place too, right? Like,
probably not
on that.
Yeah. So what these people who believe that the temple must be restored in Jerusalem, and that's what will bring about the next,
not the whatever, the Antichrist and
the Antichrist, the next coming, all that.
Yeah, second coming. Yeah.
So
what if Jesus already came, Alan?
Perhaps he did. So what they did was they couldn't. The cows have to be like perfect. They can't have a single hair that's
Let's
not
go
red.
back to the cows. Yes, they have to be red cows. According to the Bible, they don't have any white or black hairs.
They can have no imperfections. Yes.
And this cow guy that they found is like, you can inspect it. There are no white or black hairs. They're red cows.
They're all red. So the only place they could source them from was some Christian farm in Texas. And so,
and that Christian farm was like, if it brings Jesus back,
right. There was a strict export ban on cows to Israel from the U.S. So the way they got around that was to classify them as pets. So they classified them as pets, and then they transported them to Israel, where they currently reside, and they're intending to sacrifice them at the appropriate time. It has to be in a very specific place where they can see the Temple Mount.
They have to see the second temple,
right?
So that they can, so the cows have to be sacrificed in line of sight of the location of the second temple, so that the third temple can be rebuilt. But the second temple, this is where it gets a little hairy. What's going on where the second temple was, Alan?
That's where the Al-Aqsa Mosque is.
The dome on the rock.
The dome on the rock. Yes.
So is that important to Muslims?
It's highly important.
So maybe we treat it like a statue of Thomas Jefferson, and we remove it and relocate it to a museum. Muslims okay with that?
No, they definitely would not be. However, that has been floated as an option. And the diehards that want to rebuild this temple say, yeah, when we do that, that mosque has to go. So however that has to happen, we don't know, but that can't be there.
I find it hard to believe that in 2,000 years, nobody found 5 red cows and brought them there. Like, armies from all across Europe were sent to Jerusalem to retake the Holy Land, and not one of them was like, can we just get 5 red cows? And then just sacrifice them looking at the second temple, and we can rebuild the temple and have Jesus come back? Like, you're telling me it took 2024 man to do this? I don't think so. Because it's not even they're genetically bred. They're just like, no, we found them. They're perfect.
They're perfect. They were great. So yeah, that's a fun story. Let's see.
These are the lighthearted, fancy-free.
Right.
Lighthearted, fancy-free.
We talked about this last episode a little bit. So this is the time piece of how far Trump would go if he won another term. And I mean, we've already been aware of the 2025 project. A lot of these things that came out in this interview had already been essentially said or written before, but not straight from Trump, I would say. So it was
implied.
Right.
People have been like, based on what he's saying at rallies, and then they go, oh, you can't trust what he says at a rally.
And based on what the Heritage Project is putting together, and people they're trying.
Yeah, but you could always dismiss it, being like, "Oh, that's just your interpretation of what he says at a rally." He sat down for this interview and said this.
He sat down and said it. So he said,
"You read it, Alan. What did you find?"
So he said things like, he would fire an attorney general who refused to prosecute somebody that he asked them to. He said that he would.
Is that normally something that a president should be able to do? Let's ask the question.
So this is one of those norms versus rules thing, whereas presidents have not done that. They try to maintain some distance between themselves and the AG. But
Well,
yes,
and there's the Tenure of Office Act, which is like once you've been hired into that position, like you can't just be fired arbitrarily.
I think oftentimes a new president will get rid of the former president's AG and put somebody else in. But typically, they're not going to do that based on some sort of political motivation that, as they're already in office.
You talk to them and they decide to spend more time with their wife and kids.
Sure. So what else did he say? He said that he would use the army on the border. He would rebuild the border fence he would just appropriate funds from the military without having to go through Congress. He said that he would likely.
That's way different than Mexico paying for it.
That's way different. Yeah. He said he would likely pardon all of the Jan 6 people who have been.
How can you take anything he's saying seriously when the last time he promised this, somebody else was paying for it? And now he's like, okay. Well, this is the new lie. We'll get these people to do it. Because he'll fire everybody and have people in place that will actually follow through on it.
He also said that he would fire a bunch of civil servants and replace them with people who passed the loyalty test. I was thinking
the Tenure of Office Act. We wanted to make sure that the president didn't have that power when we were normal and not like giving into the wills of a dictator, potential would-be dictator.
Right. I've been thinking a lot about since I just read Julia, so that's pretty fresh in my mind. The whole 2+2.
That's Julia is a retelling of 1984. Encouraged by the estate of George Orwell to have a follow-up to it, basically.
Yeah, essentially from Julia's
perspective.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about that 2 + 2 = 5 thing, and how it was important that you not just say it, but that you actually believe it. Because once you believe something that is intrinsically unbelievable, then you're mentally malleable enough to follow anything, right?
Sure.
So doesn't it feel like 2020 was stolen? Is 2 + 2 = 5?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
it's the same thing, right? Okay, so if you buy this narrative, then now you're on.
We already not to, because I know that isn't how it is for people, but we broke you mentally. We can now leverage it, right? It's like breaking a horse. It's like if I can get you to say 2 + 2 = 5, then I can get you on board for whatever else I say.
So when you ask, how do you take somebody seriously who said Mexico's going to build it and then now says he's going to appropriate the funds from the military to build it?
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
it's already 2 + 2 = 5.
That you know what? Okay, that is the answer. We're not being charitable to people who do not deserve much more charity. It's like I can only be so kind.
Yeah. Okay. I think enough there. Let's see. What is this? Oh, this was an interesting article. He wrote David Pecker. It's George Packer. Pecker's the AMI guy.
I talked about George Packer in the last show.
Yeah, but on the sheet you put David.
I see that. Yeah. David Pecker.
Yeah. All right. So this is you talked about this last. I think we had a quote from the Reason Roundtable where they read.
Roundtable talked about David.
George Packer.
George Packer.
Yeah. So
I know this name.
The campus left occupation that broke higher education. So really interesting article. I'm not going to read it to you in verbatim. We already had the quote last week on. Oh, God damn it! I'm on the wrong.
2 days ago.
2 days ago. Which was a very good quote. I have a different couple of quotes from this article. This one's really long. I'll kind of just.
Do you remember the quote on the big show? Because I don't.
I do. Oh, you hate it when I do that. Let me find it. Something about the instincts become so can I control F on this?
Probably. I'm trimming most of this out.
Yes, here it is. The ideas of one generation become the instincts of the next. Ideas
I
born
said that because it was my idea.
Ideas born in the 60s, subsequently refined and complicated by critical theory, post-colonial studies, and identity politics, are now so pervasive and unquestioned that they become the instinct of students who are occupying these campuses today.
And now that speaks to me as someone who's a fan of like Foucault and postmodernism. Like I still like I hear that and I go, we're not being critical enough of the current generation.
So essentially what he says is that the people who inhibit these universities currently at the professor level are the people that grew up in the 60s generation, who had those protests and brought those values and culture to the universities currently. So now the current generation of students going to school has been taught that, this is how you speak truth to power. This is, this is how words become violence, all of these things, right? Which have been sort of distorted over time. And so now you have these students who have been fed all of this without really any opposing viewpoints for most of their academic careers, now reacting to something that is causing them to feel one way or the other. And
it was already a meme, right? Like it was already a thing that because as long as we've done this show, we've had 2 iterations of God damn it, Israel, will you calm the fuck down?
Yeah.
Before this one.
Right.
So it was already a thing where it's like, okay, well, student groups feel this way. Like, let's tap into that. I don't know. Am I off base?
No, I don't think you are. This last paragraph, I think, is pretty, he kind of draws it all together pretty well. It says elite universities are caught in a trap of their own making.
Caught in a trap.
One that has been a long time coming. They've trained pro-Palestinian students to believe that on the oppressor-oppressed axis, Jews are white and therefore dominant, not marginalized, while Israel is a settler colonialist state and
Arnold Palmer.
And therefore illegitimate. Hey, you got it off pretty well. They've trained pro-Israel students to believe that unwelcome and even offensive speech makes them so unsafe that they should stay away from campus.
That's the opposite side of it, right? It's like these people are so sheltered that they think that this is oppressive. It's like, well, how about these people? Like you're saying things that are like words of to the river to the sea, and you're saying that means you're not allowed on campus. Like that, I think that's fair. If you're going to say one, you should say the other, and that's what he's doing.
And this last line, I think, is kind of sums it all up. What the universities haven't done is train their students to talk with one another.
Right. And that's what we keep saying.
Yes. That's very none taken, I think, that particular line. So I like the article. I recommend it. It's on the Atlantic.
I can't believe I interrupted you so much and still danced around the important parts enough for you to get that all out. Well done, Allan. Well done.
Thank you. All right.
They fixed Voyager 1. I didn't find a headline for it. Sorry.
So yeah, they did fix Voyager 1. So real quick, I can tell you the story how they did it, because Voyager 1 is like it takes
outside the solar system.
Yeah, it takes almost 23 hours to get a signal there, and then like 23 hours to get it back. So very difficult to fix something that breaks when it's that far away, even just communicating wise.
And you're assuming it's software that you can like put new code into.
Right. So what happened was a single chip failed. And there were important instructions stored on that chip that essentially, with that not being present, it could no longer function. So they said, okay, well, we can re-upload that data to another place. However, there's no storage capacity anywhere else that's large enough to handle all of this data at once. So they end up having to split the data up into smaller packages and deploy it on different places throughout the system.
And they could still be accessed.
And then make it so that it could all function together.
Wow. And they could do that all remotely?
They could do
23
that
hours at a time, 46 hours at a time?
Yeah. We're talking, wow. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, how many light years out is that thing? It's insane. So yeah, pretty wild. Pretty wild.
That is so impressive.
That's really cool.
All through data transmitted on a beam of light or something. Like,
yeah, radio transmission, I believe.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild, man. Wild.
That can't be right. Can't be
all
right.
I think that's enough for other news.
Yeah.
All right. We should get into media diet. So I checked out Baby Reindeer, which you talked about on the show last week.
Oh, how did you like this?
Man, that was a train ride.
I probably should have said more about how, like, post episode 4, it really gets into like how those impactful events cause other responses in people.
Very much so. Also, there are times when you think the show is about one thing, and then you're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, it's about something else.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, really, it ends up being about this person.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it was this guy telling this story, huh?
Right, right. And
What do
he
you
was
think about that? Can we come back to that? I want to ask you
Sure.
that later. Okay.
I think that so it's sort of his sort of journey, I guess, his own sort of journey. Now there is this sort of this intrusion into his personal space and into his life,
Yeah.
which is unwelcome and unwanted.
By
but
the second character.
right. And a big part of the story seems to be about that. But then what you realize, I think, later on is really it is about this guy and his sort of journey sexually and how he can be comfortable with himself or not in his own skin and his own sexuality.
Even though it's very flashy in ways that aren't about that.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what it's about.
I think that's what it's about. Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about that? Because it was packaged and delivered in manners that like pulled on all these other subjects. Do you feel like that makes it less genuine? Like, I feel like,
as I understand it, it's. I mean, this is the guy wrote his own story, right?
well, I know that, but it's like
autobiographical.
it was
So
the whole story about how he got 1 million Instagram likes and then chose not to follow his career. Like, is that ultimately and then tack on top of that sexuality? Like, is that cheap?
I think it really. I don't think it cheapens it. I think it was definitely a curveball. It was unanticipated.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was a good story. There are certainly. I think you put caveats and said, "Hey, if you're not in a good headspace, maybe don't watch this." There is some. There's some certainly sexual violence, I guess you could say. In the show.
It's not.
But no, overall, I thought it was.
It's not graphic.
It's not graphic.
But in a way where it's almost it lingers with you worse because
right.
Like,
yeah. I thought it was pretty well told story, honestly.
It told the story of what it must feel like to go through that confusion.
Yeah.
Like you're watching it and you're experiencing it, and then you're like, oh, that's you're showing me how it is to think this in a way that's really hard to deliver on. And I think just for that, it's really well done.
I agree.
And it's hard to recommend though, right?
It is.
But it is good.
It is good. It's funny. I texted you last week because I had seen a comedian on a podcast, and I checked out his special on YouTube. Ian Findance, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard of him before
until
I saw him on this podcast. And then I saw he was doing like, people do like the podcast circuit now.
Not ours.
Not ours. They're like, they go to like, Are You Garbage? They go to Joe Rogan. They go to Your Mom's House. They go to Matt and Shane. They go like, there's a whole, like, you see the same character bounce around, right? So I saw him like going on all the shows afterwards. I'm like, I don't need to plug that guy. He's already got 1 million views. But his special was pretty good, and it deals with some similar issues that are addressed in Baby Reindeer. Not exactly, but
almost makes you realize that these are so it's like when you're dealing with something that the victim feels shame over, you can kind of count on hoping that they won't talk about it, right? And when you see this depicted in that way so consistently, it makes you kind of realize that it's not uncommon. And that's unfortunate.
I see what you mean. Yeah. These are not like one-off stories. This is happening.
But the way it just doesn't get told.
Right. Right. All right. I finally watched the Pervert's Guide to Ideology. This is Zizek's film.
Zizek.
Man.
Slava Zizek.
It's very difficult to watch. He bounces around from like movie to movie to movie to movie.
Is it hard for me with ADD or better for me with ADD?
I don't know. It might be better. I'm not sure.
Sure.
But what he does is he takes these little clips from pop culture movies. So he starts with like The Sound of Music, Clockwork Orange, he just bounces from movie to movie. He'll take like a 30-second clip and say, what they're really saying here is X and Y, or what they're really revealing to you about this character.
Gallop you, like before you process it, he moves on to the next thing.
It's not like that. It's just that he moves relatively quickly. His
cadence.
His voice, is difficult to
way of speaking.
Yeah, his way of speaking is a little bit difficult to parse sometimes to understand. So he just bounces around from all these movies. I kept having to pause and I would try to take notes and go back and like, what did he say about this? What did he say about that? So I think it's probably pretty useful given our particular political moment. Like, I think that you could take this documentary, whatever you want to call it, film, and like watch it and then read Trump's interview in Time magazine and be like, I think I see something happening here.
Okay. It's like a guide to hold next to what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Like,
because essentially he's trying to dissect culture and ideology specifically and how it
feels like a
impacts.
modern Chomsky. Like,
yeah,
I know the comparison gets made a lot, but like Chomsky, while a lot of the things he had to say are apt for now, when I think of Chomsky, I think of the first time I saw him, where my history teacher showed a video of him laying out the New York Times on a basketball court or something, and saying like how much of it was advertising and how much wasn't.
Oh,
like
interesting.
That is not something you do now, right? Like you don't talk about the newspaper. So like I feel like in that way he's a modern Chomsky, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, there's a quote here which I kept having to rewind so I could type it fast enough. He says, the original fascist dream, as with any other ideology, is to have their cake and eat it too. As it was often pointed out, fascism is at its most elementary.
Wait. Eat your cake and have it too.
Have the cake and eat it too is how.
No, it's eat your cake and have it too. Uncle Teddy taught us that.
Okay.
You're not gonna come on. That was the
I
whole
do
thing.
remember. I do remember that he argued about that. Yeah.
You can't bring that up in front of me, and I don't isolate that and talk
Okay,
about
fine,
that. Can you get back to your point?
Yeah.
The original fascist dream,
as with any other ideology, is to have their cake and eat it too. As it was often pointed out, fascism is at its most elementary a conservative revolution. Revolution, economic development, modern industry, yes. But revolution which would nonetheless maintain or even reassert a traditional hierarchical society. I always think about that quote that you have, never forget that power can always stage its own death.
Baudrillard. Power has the ability to stage its own death just to resurrect itself and regain a glimmer of its own legitimacy, something like that.
Yeah. I know that reminded me of that quote, but there's a lot of that type of speech in this whole thing.
And it just goes by too quick for you to really process it. But you're like, well, that was profound. So the next thing, you got me. And you're like,
right.
Am I being led somewhere? Like,
right. I almost feel like I might have to watch it like 3 or 4 times to really.
So do you feel like there's charlatanism to it, or
I think there is some value there, and I think that sometimes he sees a lot more in these pop culture clips than I think maybe are there. In some instances, I think he's kind of out on a limb.
Okay.
What's that?
Like if it was some guy talking about how this means how there's extra votes and, Q is telling us these signals and QAnon stuff. Like, reading stuff that isn't.
I don't think stuff like that, but he'll talk about like Jaws, and he'll say Jaws was Fidel Castro's favorite movie, and here's why.
Well, Alien was about being penetrated in the mouth until you're orally pregnated, and it's man's greatest fear. Like that's a true thing. Jaws and Aliens, I think, are like parallel to the movie Alien, right? Like the alien wraps itself around your face, skull fucks you until a man gets pregnant and then gives birth. Like that was like there was sexuality in that. Like
there was certainly something.
You don't want to have to kill them, that's fine. What does the alien look like? Smooth, long penis head. Like
sure.
It's got a little mouth that comes out and blap blap blaps on you.
Sure.
Like that was obscenely sexual.
And it was meant to be so.
Well, it was a horror movie,
yeah.
So what? He's seen something like that with Jaws. I apologize. Jaws is what, fascism?
Well, that's the way he sees. So Jaws. So Fidel Castro saw the shark as symbolizing capitalism.
Oh, I'm shocked.
And its brutality over the proletariat or whatever. And
we need to get a bigger boat.
Yeah. So he brings that up and he ties that together with some other stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know if if this whole concept is being held up with duct tape and chewing
Oh,
gum
he's
or
got
not.
a point. Steven Spielberg, noted capitalist, like just out there, just banging the drum for.
Well, I think he disagrees with Castro's interpretation, but he just brings it up.
Okay.
But anyways,
that's convenient for him. Hey, look at this valid point I made. They're wrong. I don't know, but like the man is filled with contradictions, and that's what's interesting about him.
Yes, yeah, it was definitely thought provoking. I tried to watch it like I watch a lot of things where I'm like distracted a little bit by my phone or something.
The attention.
You can't. Yeah, you have to have
like
full
fold
attention.
laundry and watch
No,
this. Okay,
no, you gotta. Yeah. So, and it's 2 hours long. So
that's a lot on YouTube, dude.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. You're telling me a major distribution house couldn't get a hold of this?
Well, I think he released it on some platform before YouTube.
Okay.
I don't think this is like
No, you know what? I get it.
In fact, the version I watched, a lot of the video was just blacked because obviously it was copyrighted or whatever. So you could hear the audio, but it would just be a black screen.
I've had the option to do that when we post things. It says this video is not allowed in Russia, and I'm like, oh, well, fuck it.
Fuck that.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're not allowed in Russia. So
yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, wait till they hear the rest of this.
Yeah.
Can I talk about what I watched?
Yes, please.
I watched 3 Bodies.
Oh, okay. Did you finish it, or you just
finished it? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I kind of figured you'd have a long, because I saw how much you had to talk about. That's my whole review. I watched the 3 Body Problem. I liked it.
You did? Okay.
Lots of thoughts, but I feel like I've said other words, so I don't know what my words are right now. I don't know, man. It was really good. It was the type of series where I want more of it, and I know there's going to be a decade of seasons of that.
Yeah,
it's very obviously the next Game of Thrones. Like they have such a great. You've unhighlighted things. I have to scroll up.
Yeah.
See, when I do that, I don't unhighlight everything at once, Alan. You're new at this, though. You're not used to. Alan's got the quiz game this week.
I unhighlighted the questions only, not the answers.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, so I can go back down there?
Yeah, you can.
All right.
Hey, you can go back.
No, Alan, gross.
Business ethics.
That wasn't the right button.
Somehow that was even funnier. That's a good-looking cock.
Oh, wow.
Cock. Nibbler.
Oh, Alan.
Oh, hey now. Nibbler. Jeez. N-I-G. Nibbler.
It's 2 hours in. Nobody's listening.
We just talked about Zizak.
I don't know, man. I hate to give it such an abbreviated review, but we're also like late to the party. I really liked the 3 Body Problem. I thought it was smart. I think that it deals with things that are difficult to explain in a way where you don't have to explain it. Like that we expanded a electron and then we wrote on it and then we shrunk it down and then we expanded it around your planet. It's a cell phone. Okay, sure. I get it. But in terms of like a plot problem, good enough. Like you've created, it's a very, very interesting world.
It is.
And it's a believable present. So it's not like a inconceivable present moment because it deals with advanced life forms and us on the brink of our technological ability. And I almost spoiled the last episode, so I won't say any more.
So I will say that I did a little.
And humans, the characters are so good. Like I found myself in scenes where I'm like, they're just talking, being like, I actually don't care. Like these are really good characters.
They really are. They really are. So my understanding after doing a little bit more reading about it is that it's based on a trilogy of books.
I was gonna say it's a Chinese man, right? Isn't there a shorter way of saying Chinese man? You should just say Chinaman to save time.
A Chinese person.
Oh, that's more syllables.
And I understand the books are actually even more like they dive a lot deeper. They're very involved. One person who I listened to who has read them said that they're very good, but they're a little bit difficult to follow. And I had the same problem with my Tiger book.
Oh, with your what book? Your Tiger book that you read by accident?
Yeah, because the Tiger book is all set in Russia, so everybody's names, they're all Russian, which are not, and they're very like, it's not like
they're ethnic, Alan.
It's not like Vladimir. It's so it's just when you have to hold all those different characters in your head and they're words you're not used to like saying, it's kind of more difficult to follow the plot. You're
Yeah,
like, wait,
yeah,
who is
you
this
lump
person
them all
again?
in one little box of different.
Oh my god, that's not what I'm saying. Anyway, so the person that was talking about reading these books said he had a similar problem following sometimes who was who. But he said the books are really good. But from what I also understand is that the show doesn't try to cover every single thing in the book because you just can't do that. On
Yeah,
this sort of
they go down the rabbit holes of each of those characters even
right.
more. You'd imagine.
Yeah, but the show does it enough, as you said, where it's very believable and it's very followable.
So is that author still alive? I heard there was like a murder within the estate. There's like a whole trial about somebody killed somebody in the estate of the Three Body Problem authorship. Like
that is a wrinkle I'm not aware of.
Oh.
I'll check it out, but I haven't heard about that. Man,
are they writing? Hey, I have a question. I have a question, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Is the author still writing the story and it's incomplete? Because last time, that didn't work out before when they did this. Hey, we'll just make it a 10-year series. Surely he'll write one more book.
One more book.
Okay.
Okay. Lu Cixin is.
Why do you have Kinder Egg in your notes under Zizek?
Oh, so he talks a lot about products are not just the product, but they're an idea.
Yeah,
so
that
like
Chomsky-ish.
So like when you think about Coke, it's not just Coke, it's the
logo,
experience. Right? It's the experience of Coke. It's even with the way they brand it, the way they sort of merchandise it in commercials and things like that. So he talks about the Kinder Egg and he's like, so there's the prize inside or whatever. He's like, well, why is that there? What is the point of that? What does that bring to this object that changes?
So Chomsky would talk about the commercialism of it.
Right. And he talks similarly about it. So it looks like, he's still alive. He was born in.
Say it, Alan.
It says 1989. That can't be right.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
But it says he's still alive.
Okay. Do you going to name the city he was born in? Is he born in China?
Oh, he was born in Beijing, 1963.
Oh, Beijing. What's up, Beijing?
Beijing.
Do I
have raised in Yangon, Shanghai.
Wow, look at Alan. Oh, I got it. Look, Alan.
Was that Beijing?
That's such a great sound.
It is.
These are all next to each other.
China is. Was that Beijing?
Шойгу! Герасимов!
They're all right next to each other. Natasha's mom's right there.
No.
So we can do a game.
Please. I'm so excited for you to lead the game.
All right. So this is Wacky or Kakalaki. You're going to play the theme song for us?
Yeah, hold on. While I'm on a different page.
So we.
I got it. Throw your hands up.
So we have 3 different potential sentences here submitted by Thrash. 2 are accurate. They are true stories of true historical facts about North Carolina. 1 is not accurate. So Dustin
so much
has
easier to
find...
remember the rules if you set up.
Dustin has to find the inaccurate.
Why have I been leading the game this whole time? Is it that easy to set up the game? I just get so excited about asking the question. I forget how to tell everybody listening what's going on.
It is fun to be on this side of it. All right, so you want to go?
Yeah.
Yes, begin.
North Carolina produces more tobacco than every other state combined, more than 260 million pounds. Either they're lying about the pounds. That's it. North Carolina produces more than, I think North Carolina.
They do. Okay.
I forgot about Virginia.
Mm.
Okay, I'll come back to that one.
Okay.
That might be Virginia.
Could be.
All right. The major catalyst for the sit-in protests of the civil rights movement was in Greensboro, North Carolina in 1960 when 4 black students, it's hard to read, when 4 black students from North Carolina A&T sat down at a segregated lunch counter. I remember the segregated lunch counters.
Okay.
Greensboro sounds right. Unless he's being silly with these locations or the year.
Or the year, yeah.
Or the school, North Carolina A&T, or some other school. I think that one sounds Kakalaki.
Okay.
And I'm looking for the wacky, right?
Yes.
Okay. State drink is Pepsi, which was founded in New Bern, North Carolina in 1893 as a digestive aid. That one's true, unless he's fucking with me about the dates and the location. Because Pepsi is based off, I had this written down a while ago as a potential just asking questions, and then it never got copy pasted in the future shows. Alan, Pepsi, Pepsis, dyspepsis, or dyspepsia, an upset tummy, dyspepsia. Pepsi was the name brand, whatever, for their all of the old colas. Like Coca-Cola had cocaine in it to make you feel better.
It was a medicine.
Pepsi is good for your tummy. Dyspepsia, or Pepsi. Yeah.
Can you imagine having a stomach ache and somebody hands you a Pepsi today?
It's gonna help, just like a ginger ale. How dare you? Pepsi's delicious. The only problem with Pepsi is they have
not
too
when you have
much
a stomach ache.
I don't know. I think the bubbles help, but shit. I had a thought a second ago.
Pepsi was it? Yeah.
Ginger ale. Ginger
All
ale.
right. So
wait, wait, and then there's always Dr. Pepper, who is not a legitimate doctor.
That's my favorite.
But they all these hucksters were like, "Here, I got a cola for you. It'll help you upset tummy."
Right.
Yeah,
so
that one's real. I think the first one's the Kakalaki. I think North Carolina does not produce as much. God,
do you think it's the wacky?
Virginia's awfully north. It's called Virginia tobacco for a reason. Oh, but isn't Marlboro based out of North Carolina? Maybe South Carolina. Oh, I gotta go with my gut. Number one.
So number one is the wacky.
Yeah.
Okay. So North Carolina produces more tobacco than every other state combined, more than 260 million pounds. That is true.
Damn it! Fuck.
The second one, the major catalyst for sit-in protests, also true. So it's the third one.
Pepsi was founded in Georgia, wasn't it?
No, you're right about that. The history is true, but the real state drink is fucking milk.
Oh, fuck you, Thrash. Because it wasn't the state drink.
This is so much fun on the other side. Not that it wasn't fun on the other side too. So milk is the state drink.
I'm going to lean towards pussy.
That's what you like about the other side, Alan. What?
I said milk is the state drink. Well, that's fucking weird.
Wait, really?
Yeah. How like
that's make me think of Mike Pence in Indiana for no reason.
Oh, you know what? I follow that.
Like Mike Pence loves milk.
I bet he has milk with his steak dinner.
And mother. Him and mother eat steak dinner.
Yeah. You're eating the cow and its milk at the same time.
No, not the cow's mother, his wife, mother.
Oh.
Remember, he calls his wife mother.
Are you saying he drinks her milk?
And making the cheese. All right. Now is the time where I traditionally ask you a question.
I was thinking of a new segment of
does it end the show better than me awkwardly asking a question?
Sort of similar to Dustin Googles, but it's I just make you read a headline and I tell you about it. It's like Dustin gets grossed out because I like grossing you out sometimes. It's fun.
Oh, please. Yeah. I mean, I've got questions, but they can wait. You know, the seashells she sells lady is a real thing.
No,
I didn't even say that right.
Seashells. She sells seashells down by the seashore.
Yeah. Mary Anning. A real woman. She lived on the seashore. She sold seashells. She was a proto-paleontologist born in 1799. They didn't even know what that word was yet. They didn't know dinosaurs were real. Thought it was God testing us. But she got famous for selling seashells by the seashore.
That's really, I did not know that.
The cliffs. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to click on this headline real quick, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it?
My question, so I don't know where they are.
It's below the games.
Is it where your cursor is? Is it this clip?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to read this, right? I'm just going to read it.
Yes. Just the head.
All right.
Yeah.
I have to allow ads. Hold on. I have to refresh the page. Go away.
Oh, this page sucks. It's like going, yeah. What the? You know what? I'll just tell you about it.
Okay.
Shock doctor discovers 30-year buildup of smegma under the foreskin of married man who was suffering agonizing pain in his penis.
Alan,
This-
it's pronounced schmegma. All right, we're not gonna do the show if you're not gonna take it seriously. Okay,
schmegma.
All right.
So
stop saying schmegma. I'm trying to end the show. Do you have more to say, or can I press stop?
Press stop. It's fine.